It's college football is sponsored by Dave & Buster's Eat, Drink, Play, and Watch Sports. Absolutely gorgeous late morning here in Waco, Texas. Nearly 70 degrees. A little windy, though. 18 miles an hour right now. Expected to maybe get some gusts over 20 miles an hour as this game goes along, but nothing but sunshine here in Texas. And we take a look at Matt Rule, the second-year head coach. Former Penn State linebacker, of course, 4 fantastic years with Temple, helped turn that program around, back-to-back 10-win seasons, his final 2 years there, and already a big improvement from last year, Evan.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you talk about what he was able to accomplish at Temple. He's got the blueprint. Done some good things this year for Baylor.
Oklahoma State winning, deferring, and kicking off, as Baylor will start things off from their own 25. So Jalen McClendon, who came off the bench, passed for just over 180 yards last week, ran for a touchdown, grad transfer from North Carolina State. They really think he's got an NFL caliber arm, but he's making his first career start here today.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about a 2-quarterback system here in Waco earlier this season with Charlie Brewer. Charlie Brewer grabbed control of this offense moving forward. Now, following his performance last week and being in concussion protocol, obviously being cleared today, he's available. But this staff feels really good about Jalen McClendon's ability in an offense like this with these talented receivers.
A design rollout on the opening play. He throws and complete to the 40-yard line right away to Marcus Jones. 1 catch each of the last 2 weeks for Jones. This is good for 14 to begin the game.
And just like Charlie Brewer, Jalen McClendon also has that added skill set of mobility that he can utilize. And on that first play, they elect to get him out of the pocket, throws a nice ball over to the sideline to Marcus Jones.
I'll be interested to see how much Baylor runs the ball today. They were telling us yesterday this will be an emphasis to try to establish a ground game and be more balanced as right away they go to the ground. And a good pickup as they hand things off to Hurd. 8-yard gain, converted running back to wide receiver.
Yeah, that leads us nicely into who to watch. Their main back, JaMychal Hasty, but you just saw Jalen Hurd get a carry there. That's their best playmaker on offense, primarily a wide receiver, but will get carries out of the backfield. And on the Oklahoma State defense, keep your eye on number 94, Jordan Braille, for 9 sacks on the year. A sack leader in the Big 12 so far this year.
Back on the ground again out towards midfield and driven back. Right back to Hurd.
Yeah, I think we're seeing Hurd get some more carries here early in an effort to get this run game going. He's their best short yardage back without any question. The other backs, JaMychal Hasty and John Lovett, amongst others. These guys do a really good job carrying the football, but they want to get Jalen Hurd as many touches as they can in this offense.
Hurd entered today 65 yards shy of 4,000 all-purpose yards for his career. McClendon to pass, complete. Hurdle for a first down and more out to the 30. What a move by Josh Fleets, the true freshman. Last week ran for a touchdown. This one good for 21 yards.
Josh Fleeks, every time he gets on the field, he seems to make a play. He's a young guy, a true freshman that has tried to get more and more playing time in the midst of other talented wide receivers on this roster. But they told us you will see more Josh Fleeks today. Based on his playmaking ability, they want to get him on the field, get him as many touches as they can.
Now, Matt Rule wants to spread the ball around, especially early on, get his playmakers involved this week. I already mentioned the emphasis on the ground game. It's Hasty in the backfield. Baylor's leading rusher. They hand to Hasty. Spins, tries to make a man miss. Stays on his feet. Impressive run. Hasty picks up 7, a guy known maybe almost as much for catching the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, JaMychal Hasty's kind of the more elusive, quicker back between he and John Lovett. John Lovett more the one cut and go type of guy, but you're going to see a number of guys get carries, that committee approach in the backfield for the Baylor Bears.
Back to Hasty on 2nd and 3, enough for a first down. And it sets up 1st and goal for the Bears on their opening drive. Gashing Oklahoma State for 13 yards that time.
And one thing we're seeing the Baylor offense do is spread you out a little bit. Try to simplify the looks they're getting from the Oklahoma State defense. And that Baylor offensive line does a nice job opening up a hole. An offensive line that has had some moving parts. Connor Galvin, the true freshman at left tackle today, in place of Jake Frumorgan. Moving the ball nicely on the ground in this opening drive.
Another carry for Hurd, trying to string it out. Baylor has scored a touchdown on every goal-to-go drive this season, all 14 of them, in fact.
Yeah, one thing we're going to see early in this game is tempo. I mean, both teams, both Oklahoma State and Baylor offensively, are going to utilize tempo and try to get the ball snapped, no huddling, and simplify the looks of these defenses, and it's worked very effectively so far in Jalen McClendon's opening drive.
Hasty taken down at the 6. Colby Peel, the true freshman who started a handful of games out of College Station, right there to pull him down.
Yeah, this 4-2-5 defense that Oklahoma State runs with new defensive coordinator Jim Knowles puts a lot on these defensive backs. Whether it's Jarek Bernard, Malcolm Rodriguez, Edison Magruder, or Colby Peel, all these guys need to come up and be physical in the run game and make tackles consistently.
On 3rd and goal, McClendon to pass. Over the middle and intercepted back of the end zone. Darius Williams, the sophomore from Shreveport. It was a crushing ending for what was a very promising opening drive for Baylor. Williams, who last year set the freshman record for passes broken up for Oklahoma State, with the interception back of the end zone. Taylor Cornelius, the reigning conference offensive player of the week, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns, a couple on the ground last week in that upset win against Texas. Senior quarterback starting this year for the first time. Patiently waiting his turn. And he is swarmed and dropped down inside the 15 on the first play of the game for Oklahoma State. Ira Lewis right there.
Yeah, it's critical for them to try to get pressure on Taylor Cornelius. He's had his struggles this year when they haven't been able to protect him. He has good mobility. You see more of that in the run game when he'll keep it on options and whatnot. But if they can get to him, they can really disrupt the tempo of this Oklahoma State offense, which has been so explosive for the better part of the year.
On the ground, back near the original line of scrimmage, Justice Hill, Big 12 second leading rusher. However, 3 straight games he's been held under 100 yards. First time that's happened since his freshman year in 2016. Trying to get him going today.
Yeah, this is really where it starts for this offense. Justice Hill is an explosive running back, and if they can get him going, they start to get those explosive plays through the air in play action.
The pass. Now flush. Cornelius tucking. Pass to 30. And that will be enough for a first down. Now, but how about who to watch when Oklahoma State
has the ball? Is Justice Hill, spectacular running back, and then Tylan Wallace, a career day last week, kind of next in line with these great Oklahoma State wide receivers.
And a flag.
False start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
It's on Tevin Jenkins. This is an offensive line for Oklahoma State that's been in flux a little bit.
Yeah, and on the defensive side of the ball for Baylor, we have to mention James Lynch. He's their sack leader this year. Plays inside and outside, number 93. He gives you the best chance to consistently disrupt the tempo of the Oklahoma State offense.
Swing it out to Hill. Hill upfield. Hill down the sideline and tripped up at the 40. Almost a game breaker. Chris Miller, who did not play last week, the safety out of Frisco, Texas.
And if you're assessing the play of the Baylor defense over the course of the year, especially in conference play, it's the inability to stop the big explosive plays. The momentary lapses on defense that result in points for other teams. They have to find a way to combat that here today.
Transfer and explosive here, but over the reach of Tylan Wallace. Last week, 10 catches, 222 yards and a couple of scores.
Yeah, he's such a dangerous weapon for them. It's pretty much on the right side of the field at all times, given the tempo they run. They just keep him over on the right side. And it's been his ability to catch contested balls and to go up and make plays with guys draped all over him. He has an innate ability to time his jumps. If you watch film of this guy, it's absolutely incredible how well he plays the ball in the air. It's been a huge year for him.
Another swing pass, this time right through the fingertips Looking that time for Chuba Hubbard, the second leading rusher for the Cowboys.
We talk about the Baylor defense and giving up explosive plays. It's been for a number of different reasons. I mean, some of it's communication and scheme, guys not on the same page. You got a lot of young guys on the back end. Of the 10 explosives last week against West Virginia that they allowed, meaning 20-yard or more plays, 6 of them involve freshmen. And so communication comes into play in situations like that.
The pass on 3rd and 10. And complete for a first down. Tyron Johnson, second leading receiver for Oklahoma State. Held to a seasonal 6 yards last week. This time a pickup of 14. Quick snap. Cornelius keeping, lowers the shoulder and pays the price. Gains 4.
Yeah, there's some mobility there, and you won't see any design runs for him. They're all off of the read, the zone read, or whatever they want to call it. But when he gets out in the open field, he can go. He's a strider, and he's tough as well. He can take those hits and fall forward on those keeps.
Wallace, first down, stiff arm. Knocked out of bounds shy of the 10.
Yeah, Raleigh Tejada, a guy that's had a good year for this Baylor defense, but at the same time, when you're facing a guy like Tylan Wallace, who is surging at this point of the year, that's going to be a tough matchup for him today.
To Hubbard. Try to lunge forward, try to get to the 5. Comes up shy there.
Well, we got some tempo here, Hunter. I almost need to stop talking and just let you do your job.
No.
They're moving quickly right now.
11th play coming up here. Cornelius on the draw. Ran for 2 scores last week. Finds one this week. Oklahoma State on the board first.
And what that tempo does is not only make you simplify your defense, because you got to line up quickly and not all the guys are on the same page, but it also wears you out. You watch the defensive linemen of Baylor over the course of that drive. Some of them have their hands on their hips. And you start to wonder about the depth of the Baylor front 7 and whether or not they can rotate bodies in, and also whether or not Oklahoma State can keep this tempo up. They're going to get tired as well. But that was an efficient drive.
And Amendola puts it through. 7-0 Oklahoma State here on Baylor's homecoming. After the interception back of the end zone, opening drive for the Cowboys results in 6. Oklahoma State a win away from making a bowl game for the 13th straight year. An 11-play, 80-yard drive capped by Taylor Cornelius and a 6-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, there's so much tempo there. If you're Matt Rule, you're standing on the sideline wondering what just happened. I mean, they move so quickly, and that's one thing Matt Rule mentioned as well, is we need to be able to withstand that initial push from Oklahoma State's offense. They'll script those plays early. That first drive is largely scripted, and they'll move really, really quickly because everyone knows what to expect. But this will settle in here at some point for Matt Rule's defense once they move beyond those first couple drives.
Over Platt's head. Back to the opening drive for Baylor and the interception.
Yeah, turnovers were an issue last week without question, but if you watch up top, the wide receiver comes down in a stack formation, and Baylor expects Oklahoma State to kind of stay in man-to-man, except they end up passing this thing off, and Tyquan Thornton ends up running that kind of in route at the back of the end zone, and Rodarius Williams does a nice job just coming underneath, and the ball's thrown right to him. And, you know, Jalen McClendon obviously didn't expect that coverage, but that's a pretty clear picture as to where Rodarius Williams ends up. Can't throw that football.
Now Baylor last week in Morgantown, 3 turnovers, their first 21 plays. London rolls, dumps it off. Hurd. It's past the 30. Good gain on first down. Get the ball in his hands often.
We've already seen a few different ways they want to get him the ball today. That's one of them right there. A little misdirection and play action, getting him out of the flat route to the strong side and get Jalen McClendon on the move a little bit. We talked about his mobility as well. But Jalen Hurd so far today, clearly an emphasis for the Baylor offense.
Hurd held to a seasonal 3 catches under 40 yards last week. This time they hand it off to Fleeks. Fleeks, the true freshman, turns it upfield. Malcolm Rodriguez forces him out of bounds, coming off a career best 11 tackles versus Texas.
Well, they said they wanted to give Josh Fleeks opportunities. They're doing that early and often. This time out of the backfield, he had 2 receiving touchdowns against Kansas earlier in the year. A young, dynamic player. And sometimes as a coach, you're a little hesitant to give your freshmen too many snaps. And I think they feel that they've done that. They made a mistake in not getting Josh Fleeks more snaps over the year. You'll see some big plays from him already today.
A gain of 17. Now, how about this? Thinking about the pass past the 50, they're handing the ball off to Gary Bohannon, who's on the field for the first time this season. No, I take that back. It's Boo Strickland. Boo Strickland, punt returner and wide receiver.
Yeah, trying to go with the jet sweep pass. And one of the things you tell your guys, don't force it if it's not there. Oklahoma State secondary does a nice job staying home on the receivers. Yet trying to get Tyquan Thornton on kind of a deep corner route. If you're Matt Rule, you're just thankful he didn't throw that thing, because sometimes you get guys that panic and just chuck it down the field. And in that case, given it was a handoff, at the very least, get the yards you can.
Strickland not very involved this year, just 3 catches. Over the middle to Hurd. Hurd upfield for a first down. And a shoestring tackle. A.J. Green, who was fantastic last week against the Longhorns.
Yeah, almost breaks it for a big one. But the most impressive thing on that play was the center, Sam Tecklenburg, picking up the blitz from the linebacker position. That's the leader of their offensive line. He was actually a tight end in fall camp in 2017. He's kind of he's a really good example of how Matt Rule is trying to build this program. That's a guy that wasn't even playing his current position when Matt Rule first got here and is now a leader on this offensive line.
McClendon tracked down from behind. A loss on the play. Of course, Oklahoma State's so good at pressuring the quarterback. Brendan Evers, the defensive tackle, is there.
Yeah, you don't get to 31 sacks on the year coming into this game. #1 in the FBS without having a relentless pursuit of a pass rush. And Jordan Brailford obviously is their leader. 9 sacks coming into this week. If you think about 31 sacks, the other 22 on the year, it's a group effort. And this group constantly gets after the passer.
Well, 32 sacks, tops in the nation. On 2nd and 18, out towards the boundary. The flag is out. Looking for Denzel Mims, second leading receiver for Baylor.
Pass interference. Defense number 4. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Getting there just a little too early. It looked like he tried to get his head around. I don't know about that. That looks like that might have been a generous call, especially given A.J. Green was trying to get his head around. If you watch on that play, you're going to get some exotic looks up front from Oklahoma State's front 7. Connor Galvin doing a nice job of picking up some of these stunts early on.
This is Lovett, his first carry. Knocked out of bounds at a 20. Just 7 carries over his last 3 games. Only 20 yards in that span, but this good for 11.
Yeah, it's good to see John Lovett get going. He's in concussion protocol after the Oklahoma game. Has never really gotten into rhythm since. He's kind of their one cut-and-go type back. He's a hard runner. Complements JaMychal Hasty well. Then you throw Jalen Hurd into that mix as well, and it really is a solid committee of running backs.
Back to Lovett with a stiff arm and pulled down a flag. Calvin Bundage, we got a piece of the face mask there. Second leading tackler for Oklahoma State.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense number 1. The penalty is enforced from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
That's a pretty easy call if you're the officials. Just grabs onto that face mask and pulls him down. But if you're the Baylor offense, you have to be encouraged by the play of the offensive line so far. One of the issues they've had over the course of the year is when they play exotic fronts, 3-man fronts, and they see those twists up front, they get confused. They've been better today, especially with a true freshman at left tackle. It's been very impressive.
And off to Jalen Hurd on 1st and goal. Pickup of just 1. Now, these are the 2 worst defenses in the Big 12. Look at just in terms of points per game. Oklahoma State allowing 29 points per game. Baylor's defense allowing 34. And so far, both teams moving the ball well. Of course, this drive helped out by some Oklahoma State penalties.
Yeah, as we referenced earlier, Baylor's been really good at finishing drives when they get in those go-to-goal situations. Got to take care of the football here and probably utilize Jalen Hurd a little bit over the middle of the field as well.
Trying to find Ebner out of the backfield, who just took the field. Pass is low.
Now in the red zone here, obviously these windows tighten up quite a bit. I think we've seen from Baylor over the course of the last few weeks is really doing a good job of using Jalen Hurd in what would be a normal tight end role. He ends up in the slot. He ends up running routes over the middle of the field like you would normally have a very reliable tight end do. They don't have a tight end in the passing game that they rely on much, but Jalen Hurd ends up filling that void. And you've got to like him here in red zone situations where the windows are just a little bit tighter.
Hurd in motion on 3rd and goal. Over the middle, and this time overthrows his intended target, looking for Chris Platt.
Chris Platt had a step on him. He just sails it a little bit. Now, obviously, it's hard to tell what his field of view is from where we're standing. But that ball just sails. Chris Platt has a step on him. He puts that out in front of him, gives him a catchable ball. That's probably a touchdown. Or Darius Williams, right there, right behind him. Done a nice job over the course of the year. He's one of the more disruptive corners. Leads the team in pass breakups. Had a nice game last week against Texas and those big receivers as well.
Connor Martin from 26 yards. And Connor Martin does not put it through. Very close. His 13 field goals lead the conference entering today, but he comes up empty on a chip shot from 26. So 2 empty possessions for Baylor. When we come back, Oklahoma State football trying to add on. It's worth noting, Connor Martin holds Baylor's career field goal percentage record. That being said, he's had some issues this year.
Yeah, he's had his share of issues. I mean, you go back to the Kansas State game, had a rough one. The weather was a little bad, missed a couple field goals, missed an extra point, then came back at the end of the game to kick the game winner. Matt Rule's going to stick with him. He's got faith in him, but he's had some lapses over the course of the year.
Cornelius gets rid of it quickly. Tyron Johnson's second catch out to the 30. He's got enough for the first down.
You see some of these other guys on the Oklahoma State offense outside of Tylan Wallace that catch the football. Tyron Johnson, Dylan Stoner. Tyron Johnson's number 3 in the Big 12 with 19.3 yards per catch. So he's proven to be a big play threat as well. The LSU transfer sat out in 2016.
Hill and Hubbard in the backfield. That's Hill in motion. They hand to Hubbard. Tries to turn upfield. Met immediately stonewalled and gang tackled.
Big Bravion Roy, one of the best run stoppers, probably the strongest player on the team. When he's at his best, this Baylor defense functions a lot better. They stop the run more effectively, can eliminate those explosives off the run plays that you see so often in the Big 12.
Cornelius tucks and wrapped up. 3rd and long coming up. It's a loss of 1.
And that's what's so critical. If your DBs are able to stay on their receivers on the back end, you can get these kind of coverage sacks. You keep your eye on number 99, Bravion Roy. He gets off that block and makes a play. And that's so critical when you're rushing 4 against a guy like Taylor Cornelius that has proven to be a good scrambler. He has enough mobility to cause you issues and extend plays. Get off blocks and make tackles up front. Makes it a lot easier on the second-level defenders.
A second sack for Baylor, just 1 each of the last 2 weeks. They've been one of the worst in the nation in pressuring the quarterback. They stick on the ground, and that is going nowhere. Justice Hill driven back. James Lynch off the end.
And we talked about after the first drive, after all that tempo that Oklahoma State had early on, you knew that eventually this defense would be able to settle in, take a deep breath, and start to diagnose what they're seeing a little bit better. And James Lynch plays all over the defensive line. Number 93, one of their most physical, best playmakers up front. Their sack leader who can also right there play the nose tackle position and make a play in the run game.
Signer on to punt. R.J. Sneed muffs it, and Is he able to hold on to it? He does. Snead holds on to it. Long field ahead coming here for Baylor on their third drive, trying to find some points. And Snead very fortunate. Evan, for Baylor, they've had 2 drives. Both have ended with a first and goal situation. They've got no points.
Yeah, really frustrating if you're Matt Rule. This is a team that coming into this game, when they entered the red zone, was getting points 90% of the time. They're 0 for 2 today. One because of an interception, the other a missed field goal. They got to take advantage of their opportunities to get points, especially against an offense like Oklahoma State.
After a 55-yard punt, long field ahead for Baylor as Hasty is wrapped up. Picks up just a couple on the play.
A nice tackle by Jordan Brailford. You'll see him move around quite a bit on that defensive front. They look to get him isolated for pass rushing matchups, but also in the run game does a really nice job. At 6'3", 250, is light enough to have the speed that he has, but also has the strength in the run game to get off blocks and make those physical tackles.
Empty backfield for McClendon, making his first career start. Grad transfer from North Carolina State, played majority of last week's game, a loss against West Virginia. Short pass, Hurd is met immediately. That's a dangerous pass there. Could have been intercepted. Malcolm Rodriguez on the coverage.
We talked about the number of options that Baylor has on the outside. Jalen Hurd, Chris Platt, Mims, their main options, but a lot of young guys getting chances today as well.
Now here in the first quarter, interception back of the end zone by Rodarius Williams. Touchdown run on the other end by Cornelius. It's 7-0 Oklahoma State through 1. Fox College football is sponsored by Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, and watch sports. It's an absolutely gorgeous day here inside McLean Stadium in Waco. We start the second quarter. 3rd and 5 here for Baylor. McClendon dancing. Now Tux trying to pick it up with his legs and might have enough. Justin Phillips, a linebacker, the senior out of Pearland, Texas, tackles him after a gain of 6 and a first down.
Yeah, we're trying to isolate number 25, Treston Ebner. You see him at the bottom of your screen on what would look like a wheel route. Jalen McClendon has to get out of the pocket quicker than he expected. It's just enough for the first down. Nice physical run. Chased down there by Justin Phillips, a leading tackler for Oklahoma State.
Take it to Hasty. Now they try to get it his way. Hasty, who leads the conference with 22 catches by a running back. Can't hold on to that one as we take a look at our first quarter stats. Of course, Baylor, the interception back of the end zone, the missed 26-yard field goal. It's going to be a much different game if those two possessions went differently.
Yeah, Baylor, not a whole lot of problems moving the ball, and I've been most impressed with the 5 guys up front. The offensive linemen being able to diagnose what they're seeing from this Oklahoma State defensive front and passing things off nicely, picking up twists, and giving this offense a chance to get some rhythm. They just need to pay it off when they get inside the 20-yard line.
Over the middle and a catch made. Marcus Jones, his second catch, good for 5.
We talked about the right side of this offensive line being the strength with Blake Blackmar and Patrick Lawrence. Number 76, Connor Galvin, got the start last week against West Virginia, and although that was a tough game for this offense, did a really nice job. And he was getting some experience earlier in the year in some of their heavy sets. They bring in an extra offensive lineman, and they get the added benefit of getting him more snaps. Done a really nice job as a starting left tackle so far in this offense.
Timeout called.
This is the first timeout of the half for Baylor. Timeout on the field.
Oh, step aside from Waco, coming right back. Evan, your thoughts on this Oklahoma State secondary? Tested last week. It was a concern for them, but they came up big last week against Texas.
Yeah, they're 8th in the conference at stopping the pass. They haven't been great at it this year. Going into last week against those big Texas receivers, it was a concern for Mike Gundy. So if you're Baylor coming into a game like this, based on historical trends with this defense, you feel like you like your matchups out at the receiver position. But last week, A.J. Green or Darius Williams, these corners for Oklahoma State, did a really, really nice job holding up against some good Texas receivers.
McClendon trying to tuck, no place to go. And knocked out of bounds, trying to stretch that out as long as he could before Jarrell Owens pushes him out of the boundary. That's a loss of 5.
Yeah, had a chance to extend the play and just, they're only bringing 4, and eventually this pass rush is going to get there. And if you're Jalen McClendon, you keep those eyes down the field. But again, this Oklahoma State secondary does a nice job keeping with those receivers and not giving them any throwing lanes down the field. And like we said before, this pass rush, it'll get there eventually.
Drew Galitz on a punt, big leg, tore his ACL last year against K-State. Stoner lets it bounce, takes a friendly Baylor roll, and will get inside the 20. The punt by Drew Galitz. Let's check in with Sam Farber in LA for Dave and Buster's Game Break.
Elsewhere in the Big 12, Iowa State number 24 in the first college football playoff rankings, visiting Kansas, and this just is not fair. Hakeem Butler goes over the top of the defensive back for the catch, tosses him aside. It's a 51-yard score. His second touchdown of the day, 14-0 Iowa State. And guess what, Baylor fans? You get to visit that guy in Ames next week.
That's right, and you can ask Mike Gundy about Iowa State. A loss for the Cowboys earlier, 48-42. Cornelius rolling and gets rid of it. Hubbard out of the backfield. Flag comes in. Hubbard running past the 35. Big block by Tylan Wallace. See, that's what the flag's about. For now, a gain of 18.
Looked like they might have had somebody blocking down the field. The question is whether or not that pass was in front of the line of scrimmage. If that pass is thrown behind the line of scrimmage, you can have, that's probably what they're discussing here. You can have guys blocking down the field if it's caught behind the line of scrimmage, but I think the line judge who was backing up thought that ball might have been thrown in front of the line of scrimmage. And
Personal foul, targeting, offense, number 2. This ruling of targeting is under review.
Well, that's on Tylan Wallace, one of the best receivers in the nation. You can see him, number 2.
Ooh. Yeah, the issue here is on a crackback block, that defensive player is deemed defenseless. And so if you go at his head or neck area, which Tylan Wallace clearly did, in a forcible manner, which he clearly did. Again, you could probably also make an argument for crown of the helmet, but from a defenseless player standpoint, like that defensive player was on a crackback block, you can't go at his head or neck area, and I'd be surprised if this wasn't upheld. Which, and even more importantly, now you remove Tylan Wallace from the game. This is by far their most dynamic receiver.
This is for Kedrick Vaughns, the safety who gets hit.
And again, he's deemed defenseless in that position. So it looks like there is contact made to the shoulder. The question is some of it to the chin. It's kind of difficult to tell from that angle, actually, whether or not there certainly is some to the shoulder. I almost...
Now, regardless of whether it's targeting or not, could there be a taunting penalty involved by the way that Wallace was simply standing over Vaughns?
I don't think they'll generate that call from the booth. That would have had to been made on the field, but let's see what we get.
After reviewing the play, there is no foul for targeting. The result of the play is first down.
Okay, so sometimes these angles that we see, there might be contact to head or neck, but the forcible contact is to the shoulder. And some of these angles are a little bit different to tell. But he is defenseless there. So basically what they're saying is there was not forcible contact to the head or neck. Matt Rhule is not happy because earlier in the season they had one overturned just like this against Kansas. And they pull more angles than we do, so I would hope these officials up in the review booth had something that showed that all of that forcible contact was to the shoulder. Because there was clearly some contact to the head or neck. And if I'm Matt Rhule, I would not be happy about that either. Well, these targeting calls in college are becoming very subjective. The point of these was to be as objective as possible and try to lay out the rules of exactly what you're looking for. And I thought they've done a good job of that. It's just the enforcement has been spotty all over the country, across the board. Whether or not something is forcible and where is that forcible contact to, it's been inconsistent across the country in every conference of college football.
No, we believe.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct on the Baylor head coach. It's his first of the game. A 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the play. It'll be 1st and 10. That's
also the second time we've seen that this year. We saw it at Oklahoma. He got a personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct. the head coach did for standing up for his players, and he's doing the same thing right here. And obviously, he doesn't have all the angles the review booth has, but optically, he knows something about that looked off, and he's not happy.
So there is no targeting. There's the unsportsmanlike penalty on Rule, plus the gain of the play, which is 16 yards. So that's a move of the ball, 31 yards in total. And the boos raining down here from inside McLean Stadium. Inside Baylor territory now. Cornelius unloads to Wallace. Little payback. Chris Miller, the junior safety.
And, Aaron, I got to be honest, it's hard not to wonder sometimes if the punishment of disqualification from the game isn't taken into too much consideration when deciding what the penalty actually is.
Throws on a line, catch made for a first down. So Oklahoma State just continues to move downfield. Tyron Johnson, his third catch, good for 11 yards. On play action. Wallace couldn't hold on. Raleigh Tejada, good coverage. Baylor's highest rated cornerback per Pro Football Focus, sophomore out of Frisco, Texas, in the Dallas area.
Well, he's letting Tylan Wallace hear it now. The energy in here has stepped up a couple notches as a result of that play, Matt Rule's reaction, and a hit on Tylan Wallace a minute ago, and then the breakup of that play. You see Raleigh Tejada up in the face of Tylan Wallace. I think they appreciate the hit that was laid on their teammate for Kedrick Vaughns.
Not much on the gain. No gain, actually. Braden Johnson, whose only catch of the season came last week, comes up to the second. Third and long here for Oklahoma State. Only 3 carries, by the way, for Justice Hill.
I was just going to comment on that. We haven't seen a ton of him, and that's been the complaint of Oklahoma State fans, is get Justice Hill more involved more regularly. I haven't seen a ton of it today.
Offense, number 56, 5-yard penalty. It's third down.
Senior right guard Larry Williams. Williams, who played last week despite, very sadly, his mother passing away that Monday.
Yeah, third and 15. You see Baylor brings in their 3-man front. Their pass rusher, B.J. Thompson, 6'6", 220, outstanding athlete coming off that right edge at the top of your screen. He's a pass rush specialist. It's a good matchup coming up here with Dylan Galloway.
Right through the hands. Looking for Dylan Stoner, yet to have a catch today. Fourth and long now coming for Oklahoma State.
Stoner, one of their more reliable options, mainly a slot receiver. Their reliable middle of the field receiver. That ball just gets up on him a little hot and tips off his hand. Tough catch. That's one he can certainly come down with. That's been the amazing thing about Tylan Wallace's season this year. Dylan Stoner really came into this year as possibly their best receiver. Tylan Wallace has run with that. One of the best receivers in the country.
This is the first timeout of the half for Oklahoma State. Timeout on the field.
No step aside, 10:52 to play in the first half. 7-0 Cowboys. Nothing Oklahoma State here in the second quarter. And head coach Matt Rule still talking things over during that commercial break.
Yeah, trying to get some clarity, I would imagine, on that non-targeting call. And again, it's the inconsistent application, I think, is what frustrates these coaches. Whether or not you agree with the rule's the rule, and I think coaches just want to see it enforced consistently across college football. Now, from the angle we saw there, it appeared that it's not being consistent. Granted, they have more angles than we do, but
they were about to punt earlier. This time they're going to line Matt Amendola up. He's a 53 career yard long. This one for 47, but a huge headwind. Oh, and you can see winds today about 20 miles an hour, kicking right into it. No good.
Bravion Roy's running off the field, giving that symbol that he might have tipped that ball. A blustery day here in Waco. It's difficult to tell from that angle, but Bravion Roy's running off. Maybe he's just trying to get the credit from the coaching staff. We'll take it, right?
This is Amendola pregame. This is kicking to the same end zone.
Yep.
The same set of uprights. Everything going to the left.
Yeah, as long on the season's a 48-yarder versus Boise State earlier in the year. This wind starts to come into play, and these wide hashes in college. All those things come into play with that decision.
Empty backfield for McClendon. They bring Fleets in motion. They had his way. He gets strung out. Hardly a gain on the play. Justin Phillips running stride for stride. Now a flag comes out over by the Oklahoma State sideline.
It's getting a little chippy over there after that last drive. We saw a little extracurricular activity after a couple of those plays, and I think this is the same thing right here.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense, number 4, it's his first of the game. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Stay on the left side of the screen. Very late, I think A.J. Green, the corner, there he is at the bottom, comes in and is still engaged with Chris Platt, the wide receiver. Oh, and there you go. The second guy, is the old saying goes, second guy always gets caught. A.J. Green caught with a penalty.
They fake the gift to her. McClendon takes it himself and falls across the midfield. Picks up 4. Brought down by Colby Peel, the safety.
Yeah, we mentioned Jalen McClendon, the grad transfer from NC State. Spent the better part of his career at NC State behind Jacoby Brissett and Ryan Finley, two really talented quarterbacks. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett now in the NFL, and Ryan Finley starting for the NC State Wolfpack. Made his way over to Baylor. Really expected to win the starting job this year. If you talk to him, he came here to start. He's done a really nice job staying engaged over the course of the year. When Charlie Brewer took the reins of this offense, Jalen McClendon didn't lose focus, stayed engaged, and here's his opportunity.
The handoff on 2nd and 6, a first down. It's Lovett.
We talked about John Lovett being that one cut and go back. Does a really good job being decisive, but it's Connor Galvin coming around on the pole, gets up to the second level on number 8. And is able to be effective on that block and spring a bigger running lane for John Lovett.
Lovett picks up 16. Now the connection really for McClendon here to Baylor, the wide receiver coach Frisman Jackson, who was at North Carolina State when McClendon was there. Also, McClendon thinks that when his playing days are over, he might want to be a team chaplain one day. He's enrolled in Baylor's Truett Seminary School. McClendon to the sideline. Has Hurd inside the 10 and wrestled out of bounds at the 5. The flag is out, though. As of now, a gain of 27.
There's a really nice play design, bringing the Baylor player out of the backfield, and both Jarek Bernard.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 4, at the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
If you watch Jarek Bernard come up and get sucked up on the Baylor player out of the backfield, leaves a nice little pocket for Jalen Hurd, and he does a nice job of sitting down in that zone. Jalen McClendon finds him, delivers a strike for a big game.
Second penalty by Green on this drive. Hurd. Stonewalled. They'll sort out the bodies. Had a good surge.
Yeah, keep in mind, this is their best short yardage back, Jalen Hurd is. He's number 2 in Tennessee history in career carries. Former running back at the University of Tennessee, transferred here, sat out last year.
This time to sneak up the middle. There's McClendon in. He is.
And Aaron, it's a great answer by this Baylor offense. They had some issues on the last drive on defense. It looked like Oklahoma State was going to put together a nice drive and get some points. And Baylor's defense bows its neck, gets the ball back after the missed field goal. And Baylor's offense just marches right back down and feeds off some of the energy from that previous drive. Really, really good answer by the Baylor offense.
There's Connor Martin, who missed a 26-yard field goal earlier today. Martin able to put it through, and with 8:17 to play in the first half, Baylor has tied this game at 7 here at homecoming weekend. Thursday Night Football returns next week with a battle of NFL heavyweights. Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, and the Panthers battle Big Ben, Antonio Brown, and the Steelers. It all starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Prime Video. Both teams winning their last 2. Coming up on Thursday. This game now tied at 7. Baylor, who had been held scoreless in 5 of the previous 6 quarters of play, able to punch it in on the quarterback sneak to the back of the end zone. We go back to Sam Farber in Los Angeles for Dave and Buster's Game Break.
Well, Ohio State has had a bye week to stew over their loss to Purdue, and after they gave up the opening drive touchdown to Nebraska, Buckeyes have ripped off 19 straight points. J.K. Dobbins here with the 10-yard score, a 12-point Ohio State advantage over the Huskers. This one over on Fox. Aaron and Evan.
All right, thank you, Sam. First and 10 at the 25. Trying to get the ball in Hill's hands more. Only 3 carries. Near first down yardage. Blake Johnson, who's been dealing with an injured knee, but is getting better. Makes the tackle after a pickup of 8. Gets rid of it quickly. Enough for the first down. Tyron Johnson's been a popular target today. Second leading receiver, gains 11.
Yeah, one of the most impressive things with Taylor Cornelius today has been their timing in some of these intermediate range routes. 8 to 12 yards down the field. Ball's out before the receivers even turned around. Really good timing.
Hill able to stay on his feet and kind of lunge forward to move the chains.
Yeah, only his 4th carry of the day. You know, I talked a minute ago about how we were a little surprised that we hadn't seen more of that. Especially some of the big plays that the Baylor defense has given up on the ground this year. Not sure what's going on here. A number of guys on the field giving him a chance to sub. Expect to see a little more Justice Hill as we approach the midway point of the quarter.
I've got Chuba Hubbard in the backfield now. Hill this year has a chance to close in on his 3rd 1,000-yard season. But instead of the belly of Hubbard. Hubbard gets crunched at the end of that run after a pickup of 6.
Yeah, and how elite Hill has been over the course of his career. They're so fortunate to have their change of pace guys with Chuba Hubbard and J.D. King. Chuba Hubbard, a big-time speed out of the backfield. Been a good weapon for him.
Alan Williams delivers a blow inside the 20. First down right over Raleigh Tejada.
The emergence this year of Tylan Wallace. Only 7 catches last year as a true freshman, as he played largely behind James Washington, the superstar Biletnikoff Award winner here last year.
And they fake it to Wallace. Now they go out to Johnson, overthrown out of bounds. Raleigh Tejada stride for stride.
Yeah, Tyron Johnson had a step on Raleigh Tejada, and Taylor Cornelius came back to that route at the end. Ended up stepping kind of towards the sideline to throw that ball. It was a little off with his footwork, a little off platform. Ends up sailing that ball a little bit. But definitely had a step on him. He drops that in. An easy touchdown.
Hubbard patiently delivers a blow at the end of the run inside the 15. Pick up a 5 for Kendrick Vaughns.
James Lockhart almost able to make that play, getting off that block by Jelani Woods, the cowboy back for the Oklahoma State offense.
Hubbard strung out. Hubbard first down. It seems like Oklahoma State can just gain yards at will for the most part today, yet they only have 7 points and an injured Baylor Bear on the field inside the 5.
Yeah, this offense does a really nice job of utilizing the run game to set up the pass. I mean, they might have college-style sets, but a very pro-style mindset. Being that physical run-first football team and taking advantage of explosives down the field.
Clay Johnson, the linebacker, we believe the man injured.
Coming up on the State Farm halftime, the Buckeyes aim to bounce back against Nebraska. Iowa State cracking the top 25. Cyclones looking to win their 4th in a row on the road at Kansas. And we'll discuss the Big 12 battle between number 13 West Virginia and number 17 Texas. That's at the half. Right now, Aaron and Evan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Just over 6 minutes to play first half here in Waco. 1st and goal at the 7. Only touchdown so far for Oklahoma State. Taylor Cornelius, the quarterback run. They hand off. Justice Hill trying to string it out. Not going anywhere. Bulldozed out of bounds.
A really nice pursuit of the football by James Lynch and company. This Oklahoma State offense really likes these outside zone stretch plays where they'll continue to stretch that play all the way to the sideline if they need to until Justice Hill and these running backs see that hole, put the foot in the ground, and get north and south. Wasn't able to find one there with the pursuit of James Lynch and James Lockhart.
They feed Justice Hill again. Bring down 3rd and goal. Gains 2.
Good matchup here down at the bottom of the screen with number 23, Derek Thomas for Baylor, and number 2, Tylan Wallace for Oklahoma State. Derek Thomas, a 6'3", 195-pound corner, former wide receiver. Is a Temple grad transfer, was at Temple with Matt Rule. Has some size on Tylan Wallace. He's a 6'1", 185-pound receiver, but does a great job of going up and making contested catches.
Cornelius to pass on 3rd and goal. Back of the end zone, and it is out of bounds, not made. Looking for Landon Wolf, the former walk-on. Jamison Houston was right there, the Austin native.
Jamison Houston does a really nice job using the boundary. Landon Wolf is forced to go up, make the catch. Is able to, well, his momentum's already taken him out of bounds. I'm actually surprised he didn't use the bottom of the formation. Tylan Wallace came on a slant, had position on Derek Thomas, but he decided to go up top to Landon Wolf. A little too far in the corner.
Amendola missed from 47, kicking into the wind. Same direction here from just 19. 10-7 Oklahoma State with 4:42 to play here in the first half. Later today, it's a crucial battle between Big 12 elites. 13th ranked West Virginia taking on number 17 Texas, 3:30 Eastern on Fox, followed by UCLA battling Oregon at Austin at 7:30 Eastern. Coming up on Fox, or watch anywhere on the Fox Sports app.
There, we talked about, the Oklahoma State drive, getting Justice Hill going a little bit more in the run game. They've had their issues in musical chairs up front on their offensive line as well. Arlington Hambright, their normal left tackle, has been out for a few weeks. They moved Tevin Jenkins, the right tackle, over there. Now Tevin Jenkins is back at right tackle, and Dylan Galloway is now your starting left tackle. Shane Richards, the backup right tackle, was hurt last week, so they've had to move a lot of bodies around. And as any football coach will tell you, hey, we're at our best when our offensive line is controlling the tempo and controlling the line of scrimmage. It's been spotty at times, and when they don't protect Cornelius as well as they did against Texas last week, it becomes a little more difficult for them to push the ball down the field.
Josh Fleeks with a running start. Just past the 20.
Josh Fleeks on return. By Bryce Hollis.
And Jalen McClendon, the senior grad transfer, making his first career start today.
Yeah, we knew about his mobility. We knew about the big arm. Turnover is obviously probably the biggest element of his statistical output today in the red zone. Took points away from him. But he's gotten some help from his run game today. I don't really see him take many shots down the field. We know they have receivers that can do that. Chris Platt, a big speed guy. He's got 5 career touchdowns over 70 yards. I'd like to see him take a couple shots and stretch this thing out a little bit and use that big arm.
Handed off, trying to stretch things out. Ebner course, Charlie Brewer, the normal starter, injured last week in Morgantown. He was concussed. This is a loss of 4. Past concussion protocol this week. In fact, he was cleared to play on Thursday, but a limited week of practice nonetheless. Didn't practice at all on Monday.
And that's the biggest thing. I mean, it's that Charlie Brewer wasn't benched coming out of last week. I mean, he knows that he'd like to give him one more week to get back, get healthy. And if you don't practice in football, it's difficult. This isn't basketball where it takes you a couple days to prepare for an opponent.
I'm taking a shot at basketball, I see. Oh, boy.
The prep starts back on Monday. And if you're missing practice, you're missing critical installation time.
Watch out, baseball. You're next. McClendon trying to set up the screen. Some pressure from Jarrell Owens.
Need I say, though, I actually like that element of basketball. You over-prepare for football. Everybody over-prepares for that,
Evan.
A little misdirection trying to set up the screen. It'd be tough to set up the screen against a pass rush like Oklahoma State. We referenced coming into the game, #1 in the FBS in sacks. And that's both by scheme and by just winning one-on-one matchups. You got guys like Jordan Brailford. They're going to win those one-on-one matchups. And also, as you draw things up schematically with defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, he's going to find ways to engineer pressure as well.
3rd and long here. Pressure from the backside. Dumps it off. Hasty nowhere to go. A flag comes in.
Holding. Offense number 77. Penalties decline. Brings up 4th down.
It's on Patrick Lawrence making his 34th consecutive start today.
You watch Patrick Lawrence there at the top of your screen, number 77. Again, that's Jordan Brailford wreaking havoc, coming around the edge. And his speed move is really difficult to stop. There are times with your Patrick Lawrence where you're just going to have to grab on and hope that it's not called. In that case, it was.
Well, the punt team emerges for Baylor. 3:35 and counting down to play in the first half.
We talked about where Jordan Brailford sizes up relative to the rest of the FBS. Yes, Oklahoma State's #1, but Jordan Brailford individually is #3 in the FBS in sacks.
Stoner finding the sun a little bit, calls for the fair catch. Well, you know, Mike Gundy, he's a beautiful man. His 14th year. And his hair gets more pub than just about anybody else in the game. And, you know, this is nothing new here.
But he owns it, too. That's what I love. There's not a more confident, self-confident guy
We need to get back to that headshot
in sports. Look at that. That's as good as it gets, man. And he owns it, too.
This is a man who bleeds orange, was a quarterback, of course.
Not 40 anymore, though.
It's
not 40.
Been a while since he was 40.
While. We're in the 50s now, aren't we?
Best starting field position today for Mike Gundy's Cowboys. And off to Hill, cuts up field. Hill his 7th carry. Now 57 yards. Of course, a long of 31.
Well, Ira Lewis did a really nice job there of chasing from the backside. That's what's so important. These outside zone schemes that Oklahoma State likes to run. It's really important for your backside linebacker and your backside defensive tackle, your tackle to have good pursuit, because a lot of times you end up unblocked. If you can get there with speed, make a play.
Looking downfield, trying to find Johnson. Just a stride too far ahead of him. Tyron Johnson, the LSU transfer, former 5-star recruit.
Kalen Barnes just out of step on Kalen Barnes, the true freshman. He's getting some time today in place of Derek Thomas at times. That's a matchup I think they like against the young guy down the field.
Third and 9. Ball to the 33. Stoner the man in motion. Flushed, squares his shoulders and hit as he throws. Nearly intercepted in midfield. Ross Matisic with the pressure on the backside.
We talked earlier about one of their best pass rushers, B.J. Thompson. When he knows he can just peel those ears back and go after the passer. Really good at getting there. 6'6", 220 pounds. Look, last year, as a true freshman, he played under 200 pounds as a pass rusher. That blows me away. At 6'6", amazing to think a guy could get out there and rush the passer at under 200 pounds, but it's the athleticism and the speed that separates him in getting after the quarterback.
And more impressively, he won the football team dunk contest as this is blocked and taken back to the house. Chad Kelly, the block. Byron Hanspard able to score the go-ahead touchdown, 13-10 Baylor.
And Baylor has not been great at returning punts as of late, but a big reason is they're trying to get there. They're trying to get a block. They're not holding up at the line of scrimmage. They're trying to rush and get their hands up and make a play. They almost got there on the last one, and this one they get home and make a game-changing play to take the lead before the half.
I think it's Treston Ebner who comes up with that block.
It's great to see guys contributing on special teams. Treston Ebner, obviously a third down back as well in offense, making a play on special teams.
And 6 blocks for this Baylor special team unit dating back to last year.
See him come off the edge to the right of your screen. Nobody gets to him, and he's got too much speed. You can't let that guy run free. That ball's not going to come out nearly quick enough. Execution here by the Oklahoma State punt team unit. Great play. It's Christian Morgan that gets there, and Treston Ebner that picks it up for the touchdown. Christian Morgan, the true freshman, interception a couple weeks ago. These young guys are growing up right before Matt Rule's eyes. He's lamented some of the things that they've done poorly over the course of the year, some growing pains, but it's moments like these where he sees these guys start to get it a little bit and making plays in a big conference game to change momentum, give them the lead.
Only one win last year for Baylor. This would be the biggest win under Matt Rule for sure, but a long way to go. Now, coming up on the State Farm halftime show, Mike Hill, Dave Wanstead back in Los Angeles. Number 10 Buckeyes trying to bounce back. Number 24 Iowa State looking for their 4th straight. And a Big 12 battle in Texas. All that is coming up at the half.
As we approach the 2-minute mark here left in the first half, you know, we talked earlier in the game about Oklahoma State's tempo. Last week, they were at their best when they had tempo. It's hard to maintain that. Guys get tired, I understand, on offense. They fell off a little bit against Texas when they lost that tempo, and then here today, we just haven't seen as much of a rhythm offensively. Like to see him find that tempo again, get up and get that ball snapped.
Quickly wrapped up, but a first down catch made by Tyron Johnson. His 5th catch this afternoon.
And also credit Derek Thomas for the Baylor defense. Haven't seen Tylan Wallace as many down the field opportunities yet, which he's made a living on this year.
Put off to Hill, switches arms, and out of bounds.
Mentioned several times the explosiveness of Oklahoma State's offense. They lead the country coming into this game in plays over 20 yards. They have over 60 plays over 20 yards. It's just been the inconsistencies at times that's been frustrating for this offense, but they certainly have the ability to push it down the field with these talented playmakers. They go 62 plays of over 20 yards this year. Leads the country.
Back to Johnston, who gives up ground. Gets back to the sticks.
Johnson.
Picks up 5, needed 6. Cornelius airs it out. Leap, high point, incomplete. And a flag comes in. Of course, this is what Wallace does so well.
They're going to say, I don't know if he got his head around.
Pass interference. Defense number 23. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Yeah, Derek Thomas is in good position. Just doesn't get his head around to find the football. Ends up making contact with Wallace before the ball gets there. It's a tough play. When your head is not around looking for the football, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt from the receiver. You grab his jersey here with the right hand. That's a tough matchup for Tylan Wallace in jump ball situations. We said before, Derek Thomas is 6'3". He got 3 inches on Tylan Wallace.
Give to Hubbard. A lot of room up the middle.
And on plays like that, sometimes it's just the most subtle movement of the head to look and try to find the ball. And you'll get that benefit of the doubt from the official. But if there's no effort to do that, it's really difficult to not have that called against you.
Hubbard gains 7. Under a minute. Oklahoma State a chance to answer back and take the lead.
Out of the half for Oklahoma State, 30 seconds.
As they talk things over, we'll check in with Sam Farber in Los Angeles for a game break.
All right, Aaron, over on Fox, Nebraska not going away at Ohio State. Adrian Martinez, the quarterback keeper, for a 2-yard touchdown. Huskers, after losing the first 6 under head coach Scott Frost, have won 2 in a row, and they are well within striking distance, trailing 16-14 in the second quarter.
First time we said this year, Huskers with some momentum, making some noise against the Buckeyes. 59 seconds to play, 2nd and 3. 1 timeout remaining for Oklahoma State.
Now you think about those contested catches that have worked so well for the Oklahoma State offense over the course of the year to Tylan Wallace. Again, as a receiver, the taller corners in jump ball situations, they're difficult to beat. When you think about a guy like Richard Sherman at the next level, 6'3", a corner, former receiver just like Derek Thomas. Not implying that Derek Thomas has Richard Sherman's skill set, but when the ball's in the air, difficult to jump up and make a play on guys with that much size.
On the ground to Hubbard. Hubbard a first down. Clay Johnson had to leave the field because of injury earlier. He's back and healthy. Wanting the end zone and almost intercepted by Thomas. Looking for Wallace once again. And now you can see Matt Rule has wanted an offensive pass interference penalty. Wanting that to go against Tylan Wallace.
Now again, difficult matchup. You got Derek Thomas bailing at the snap. And you're throwing a jump ball, and I realize Tylan Wallace has great ball skills. His contested catch rate is outstanding. Great leaping ability. That corner he's going against is 6'3". I don't know that I'd be throwing too many fade balls on him into the end zone.
To the sideline, too tall. Looking back Wallace's direction. Stops the clock, 39 seconds, 3rd and 10 coming.
And I say that especially given the proficiency with which Tylan Wallace goes over the middle of the field. He's not afraid to catch the ball over the middle. Goes up and snagging balls left and right over the course of the year. Other ways to get him the ball and utilize his playmaking ability.
Pressure, Cornelius steps up. Closer to the sideline and out of bounds, looking for Landon Wolf. Cornelius just 3 for his last 10, only 20 yards.
I'm surprised he threw that ball away. I thought there might have been a running lane for him, and we know the mobility he has. Obviously gets pressure there, has to get out of the pocket. I thought he had a chance to run for that and possibly dive instead of just throw it away. That really surprised me. There's a lane there for him. You look at 26 on Baylor is running with his back to him, Terrell Bernard.
This will be from 45 out into the wind again. Missed from 47, the same direction. And Mendola feels the wind like a frisbee that gets knocked away.
Sometimes the disadvantage is us being up in the press box is feeling that wind. We can see the indicators on the goalposts, but that ball just takes off up into the air and dies in the wind. Wow, that thing, it looked like it had the right trajectory from where we were standing, but just dies in the wind when it hits the wind.
He had made 23 of his previous 26. He's missed a pair today, but both have been from long distance into a very strong headwind.
Yeah, that's difficult to tell from that angle. That thing was well short, too. Both kickers would like to try to kick one maybe in the other direction. Both of them keep going the same way, dealing with that headwind.
Big stop by Baylor defense. Under 30 seconds to play in the first half. Hand off to Hurd. He's been pretty quiet in recent possessions. Of course, they got a lot of work on the ground. Their leading receiver. And that will run us to halftime. How about this first half? 14-10. The big play, the blocked punt returned for a touchdown just moments ago by Baylor special teams. That's the end of the first half here at McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas. 14-10. Baylor's on top right now. Back to Mike Hill and Dave Wanstead in L.A.
All right, guys, welcome to the State Farm FS1 College Football Halftime Show. Mike Hill hanging out with the coach, Dave Wanstead. It is at the half. Oklahoma State, though, coming off that big win last week against Texas, but trailing at the half by 4. Time now for the halftime highlight, sponsored by State Farm. Here to help defense go right. Coach, what'd you see?
Well, you kind of expected Oklahoma State to be a little bit off. Right here, they try to attack Baylor outside. Great pursuit. Then they come back and hand it off inside. Again, Baylor stops them. And then the third try is a pass, which is incomplete. And then we're going to see a block punt right here. I mean, Baylor does a great job, but again, it's a mental mistake by Oklahoma State. And from a head coach's standpoint, they had the big win last week against Texas. We talked about that, Mike. And now, obviously, the week of practice, it's an exciting week of practice. Leading up to this game, you're playing Baylor, who's 4-4. Mike Gundy's not really, creating a sense of urgency. It's all positive. And then you come in this game, and it's flat. Last week, Justice Hill, their running back, I mean, he had 23 carries. To me, when I would get in games like this, when I knew that our guys would be a little bit flat, I would always say, hey, the best thing for offensive line is to run the ball. Let's come out and just get shoe to shoe and try to get some rhythm going and establish the running game, and that just hasn't happened yet. They're trying, they haven't made up their minds what they want to do. Inside runs, outside runs, passes, we saw it, block punts, missed field goals, right? I mean, that happens right before the half. Yep. That tells me that the focus is not where it has to be. We thought Mike Gundy had a good press conference after Texas. I guarantee it's a good halftime right now.
Well, Coach Drew's got to like what he has to see. He's got a 4-point lead, but he could have a bigger lead if it wasn't for their missed opportunities as well in the red zone.
They did. They're starting the game off, right off the bat, Matt Rule, the head coach, I mean, they come right down the field, Baylor's offense against Oklahoma State, and throw an interception. And then the second drive here, we come down here again, incomplete pass. I mean, then we get a field goal opportunity, and we miss the field goal. So Baylor came out ready to play. I mean, when I look at what Baylor did to start the game as compared to what Oklahoma State did, hey, this is a huge game for Baylor. We talked, they're 4-4. Yep. They need 2 more wins to become bowl eligible, which would be a major accomplishment for Matt Rule and that Baylor program moving forward. And this is one that they targeted, and a little bit of a trap game. They just needed to take advantage of that early, and it may have sent a whole different message, to their fans and everybody.
Yeah, Bears trying to end a 2-game slide, but have the lead right now at the half by 4 over the Cowboys. When we get
homecoming game for the Baylor Bears. They lead Oklahoma State 14-10. Welcome back to Waco. Aaron Goldsmith and Evan Moore. And Evan, we just saw the score. Pretty impressive. Baylor is winning at halftime, given all the missed opportunities in the first half.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma State's fortunate to not have given up more points because Baylor was able to move the ball pretty effectively in the first quarter. We saw early on in the game that interception early on in the end zone. Big mistake for Jalen McClendon. They come back on the next drive right after that and miss a field goal as well. So it's some miscues early on, but their ability to bounce back on the next. After stopping Oklahoma State, moving down the field to a big Jalen Hurd play, and then a Jalen McClendon touchdown. And then the game-changing play of the day was the block punt. Christian Morgan getting the block punt, and then Treston Ebner recovering it for a touchdown to give Baylor this lead at halftime. Now, if you're Oklahoma State, the key is to try to get that tempo back as well that they lost. Got to get that tempo back offensively.
First half stats sponsored by Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, and watch sports. Of course, Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State coming off that very emotional win last Saturday night at home on their homecoming night, taking down number 6 Texas. Meanwhile, from that rule and this Baylor team, they're coming off their worst performance of the year. They were gashed on Thursday night in Morgantown against West Virginia. Lost their starting quarterback in the process. Out of bounds. This has been a problem for Oklahoma State, but now it rears its ugly head for Baylor. The kick by Gale, it's out of bounds. It will begin at the 35 for this Oklahoma State offense. Taylor Cornelius, who began the game so well, he began 10 for 14, almost 120 yards. Did not finish strong at all. 3 for 10, 20 yards.
Yeah, only a 4-point deficit here, so there's no reason they can't try to get the run game established with Justice Hill. This offense goes as he goes, and also trying to establish some kind of tempo like they had early in the first quarter and find better matchups for Tylan Wallace deeper over the middle of the field.
Hill 7 carries, 57 yards in the first half. And they start by putting the ball in his hands. And he is wrapped up for a loss. It's a loss of 2.
Well, James Lynch is active on the defensive front. We talked about his ability to play both inside and outside as a pass rusher and also a run stopper. He's this defense's best player week in and week out. Even blocked a field goal last week, had a sack last week.
Trying to find Stoner. Attempted the one-handed catch. Blake Lynch there with him, stride for stride, incomplete. Brings up 3rd and long.
One of the most encouraging thing as well for the Baylor defense is they've just been there for the most part. They had a lot of mental errors last week, guys miscommunicating. You see right there, Blake Lynch is right there to make the play. They've been there in coverage consistently, unlike a few occasions last week that resulted in big plays.
Lynch, by the way, the junior who in his Baylor career has started at 5 different positions, has found a home as a linebacker now. 3rd and long. Cornelius feeling pressure. Finds Stoner for a short gain. Bring up 4th down. To a 3 and out for Oklahoma State, their opening drive of the second half. R.J. Snead back to return. Snyder's punt. Some booming punt. And into the end zone.
We talked about the ability of the Oklahoma State defensive front and their ability to get to the passer, led by Jordan Brailford, but it's a group effort, consistently creating pressure in Jim Knowles' defense. Been a problem for Jalen McClendon at times, scrambling around, but when you can get pressure with 4, like Oklahoma State's defense has been able to do, it creates a lot of coverage sacks. We've seen more of those than anything else over the course of the day for Baylor's offense.
The one interception on the opening drive is also run for a touchdown. Did that as well last week when he took over for Charlie Brewer, who suffered a concussion against West Virginia. Opening drive of the second half for Baylor. And they start on the ground with Jalen Hurd. Hurd, who sent out last year after transferring from Tennessee.
Yeah, it's amazing to think the role he has in a running game as a tailback, and also what he's able to do in the passing game. He's tied for 2nd in the conference in receptions, and he's number 5 in receiving yards. So an elite receiver in this conference, but also has the ability to carry the load out of the backfield.
Hand it off to Hurd once again, this time stopped. They'll bring up 3rd and long. Now for Baylor, they've been held under 20 points each of the last 2 games. That was at Texas, at West Virginia. They're back home here inside beautiful McLean Stadium for the first time in nearly a month. One of those touchdowns in the first half was on the blocked punt late in the second quarter. And motion Hurd to the right side. brought down by A.J. Green, and here comes a flag. They're looking for Thornton. As you can see, Trey
Personal
Carter.
foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 99 for the contact to the quarterback's helmet. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first foul.
Trey Carter off the end. And again, it's not necessarily forcible, which we know would result in possibly a targeting call, but this one is just contact to the head of the quarterback as he's throwing the football. Cracking down on that at all levels of football. And penalties generally are an issue really for both teams, but specifically Oklahoma State. You see there, 7 a game puts them at 89th in the FBS. Something that drives Mike Gundy crazy, saying don't go into the quarterback, put your hands up, but don't make contact with his helmet. It's a penalty every time.
Well, they were right at their average today. John Lovett checks in as the running back. And they hand his way. Lovett is wrapped up and dragged down. Jordan Brailford, conference's sack leader, averaging 2 tackles for loss a game, a loss of 2 this time.
Yeah, this front has been active in the run game so far in this second half, and Jordan Brailford's unblocked. He's going to make that tackle every time. One of your best defensive players unblocked in the hole. You trust him to make that play every time.
Now 2nd and 12. Ball of the Baylor 36. Glennon rolls, finds Hurd. Upfield past the 40, knocked out of bounds by Malcolm Rodriguez.
And for the most part in the Baylor passing game, we've seen a lot of quick throws, getting Jalen McClendon on the move at times. We've yet to see him really take any shots down the field. Got a guy like Chris Platt with elite speed. Denzel Mims has the ability to get down there and make plays. I'd like to see him try to loosen up the defense and take a shot. Here it is.
Does here. Looking down the sideline off the fingertips of Tyquan Thornton. Or Darius Williams, who had the interception there in the coverage.
And Tyquan Thornton's been one of the guys this year that's been able to come down with these. He's got 16 yards a catch on the season. A 6'3", 165-pound receiver, true freshman. He's made a lot of big plays this year for him.
Sounds like we had an issue with the official's microphone. Defensive offsides with penalty.
Got free play.
Tell you what, if you want to take a shot, even if you have a big arm like McClendon, penalty was on Enoch Smith. First half was the time to do it. You are now thrown into the wind.
Yeah, some quarterbacks' balls can cut through the wind a little better than others. He pushed that thing down the field pretty nicely.
Third and 1 here. First down. Carry once again up the middle by Jalen Hurd. He picks up 5.
Jalen Hurd, nice job getting those pads down. He's 6'4", so playing behind the pads isn't the easiest thing in the world at times, given his height, as they try to stretch out a drive here and possess the football.
Hurd over 70 total yards today. He's now eclipsed 4,000 total career yards. To the sideline and off the fingertips.
Sometimes the big fullback, you don't find yourself in the open field too often. I think Jalen McClendon helped himself, or helped his fullback out too much where that throw was located.
Colby Bullard hasn't touched the ball yet this year.
A little bit of pressure, puts a little more air under it. That's probably a play he has. He also had Christoph Henley, the freshman tight end, running down the middle of the field. So there are really 2 options there. Just a little too much on that as he sails it over the fullback's head.
On the draw, McClendon up the middle, first down, and more. They're the 25. Well, taken down by the safety Colby Peel after a gain of 21.
Now, we know Baylor likes to take advantage of the mobility of their quarterbacks. Charlie Brewer was leading this team in rushing attempts coming into this week. And Jalen McClendon now filling that role with a nice quarterback design draw for a big game.
They love it. McClendon takes it again, tries to put a move on.
Well, that wind is starting to blow some trash across the field. You see that?
Some halftime meals are making their way out to the 40-yard line.
Mentioned a minute ago, coming into this game, Charlie Brewer, their normal starter at quarterback, had 72 carries on the year. JaMycal Hasty and John Lovett, their next two highest, but he was the highest coming into this game, so it shows how much they'll utilize that mobility at that position.
Lovett is met right away. Colby Peel, a loss of 2. We've seen a lot of Lovett, not much JaMycal Hasty on this drive.
Colby Peel on your right side of your screen comes screaming off the edge, unblocked, and these are the ones where you'd like to see his read implemented. If you're reading, he was reading the other side of the field. Like there was some miscommunication there. You see him look over to the sideline, a little frustrated. Jalen McClendon, that is, a little frustrated after that play, as he didn't account for Colby Peel coming off the edge. That usually will result in the quarterback getting into a different run play because you don't have an answer for 31 coming off the edge.
Hasty in the backfield now on 3rd and 7 for the 24. Looking, end zone, and Hurd able to find it, incomplete, but a flag is down.
Flags on the play.
They like the matchup they had in the slot there.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Holding, offense number 76. Pass interference, defense number 24. The foul's offset. Replay 3rd down.
Jarek Bernard, the defensive back. Connor Galvin, the tackle with the hold.
Top of your screen there, screaming off the edge. A linebacker, Calvin Bundage. And we're trying to take a shot to Jalen Hurd up in the slot. They like the matchup on Jarek Bernard. Throwing that slot fade, grabs his jersey a little bit, but that ball left a little too far outside for Jalen Hurd to be able to find it in the air.
Baylor's in field goal range, but of course the wind has been an issue. This looks like some miscommunication of some kind. Even on the snap, possibly. It's a gain of 4.
If you're going to have one guy go early and not get a penalty, it's got to be the center, and that's exactly what happens. He snaps it before anybody else is ready for that ball to be snapped. Everyone else is just standing there. Almost rather have the penalty there.
Ball is on the 20. Connor Martin, a miss earlier today from 26. This from 38. This is well within his range. Can he handle the win? They fake. Baylor, a fake field goal. They want it all. Incomplete. Galitz, the puncher on the pass, looking for Christoph Henley, the tight end out of Austria. Trying some trickery to try to get 6. The punter's got too strong of an arm. A beautiful 73 degrees today, but gusty winds 23 miles an hour, and of course a missed fake field goal attempt.
Yeah, given the field goal issues over the course of the day, you'd expect Oklahoma State to have their antennae up a little bit to try to combat against this, but Christoph Henley running down the field wide open. Kicker throwing under some duress. Can't imagine he's too experienced at throwing with a guy in his face.
Cornelius trying to regain some of that momentum from the first quarter. He finds Tylan Wallace, pickup of 12 and a first down.
Yeah, most of Tylan Wallace's targets in the first quarter were on basically jump balls down the field, and you like to see him get him involved in other ways. That's a tough matchup for him on Derek Thomas.
Pressure coming. He gets rid of it just in time. And Tyron Johnson can't make the catch. Terrell Bernard was flying in there. Tejada on the coverage.
Well, Tejada's done a nice job over the course of the year, and they feel like he's getting better, too. As you watch that hit on Taylor Cornelius. A little different than the NFL when they talk about bringing your weight down on a passer as you tackle him. That's not as prevalent here in college football, but they're still very vigilant about taking care of the quarterback, that's for sure.
This is Derek Thomas, a Temple grad transfer, 6'3" cornerback. Needing a little extra time.
He's had a nice day today, too. They talked about possibly giving Kalen Barnes more time at that spot as well. That matchup for him is favorable given the types of routes that Tylan Wallace runs and Derek Thomas's size. He's an asset for them in pass coverage today.
Oklahoma State's lost 3 in a row here in Waco. Meanwhile, Baylor has not won a game ever in Stillwater. They're very happy this one's being played here in Texas. Baylor leading here in the third quarter. Overshoots, isn't taking the target once again. Continues to go the way of Tyron Johnson, second leading receiver.
We talked about the optimism for Oklahoma State's offense coming into this game. A lot of it was with the improvement of the offensive line. Go back to Iowa State, they allowed 7 sacks. And last week against Texas, big improvement, only allowed 3 and had over 4 yards of carry in the first half. Just haven't been able to consistently get the run game going today against Baylor.
3rd and 10 of the 32. Over the middle, catch is made, and almost a vicious hit laid down by Vons. But it's a first down. Able to find Stoner. His second catch is good for 23.
Yeah, we know Dylan Stoner is a reliable middle of the field receiver. He knows he's going to take a big hit there. Goes up and catches it and brings it down.
Justice Hill, the conference's second leading rusher, led the conference last year over 1,400 yards.
Coming into this game, too, 3 straight games under 100 yards. For a guy that's averaging over 100 yards on his career, that's a little surprising.
And just over 90 last week against Texas. And he'll step aside, tend to an injured player. Fox College Football is sponsored by Dave & Buster's Eat, Drink, Play, and Watch Sports. Gorgeous McLean Stadium on the banks of Brazos River. Homecoming weekend, the 95th homecoming game for the Bears. They lead Oklahoma State 14-10 here in the third quarter. 2nd and 6 at the Baylor 41. Cornelius changing things. He wants to throw. Flush, squares over the middle, and the catch complete for a first down. And Stoner once again over the middle of the field.
Yeah, one of the dangers, only bringing 3 if you're the Baylor defense, and Phil Snow, the defensive coordinator. Taylor Cornelius just shifts out to his left a little bit, finds someone in zone coverage.
They fake it to Hill, and they complete a strike, that time to Tyron Johnson. Tempo picking up once again for Oklahoma State.
Sometimes it's hard to remember how good this Oklahoma State offense has been at times. They're number 11 in the FBS in total offense, about 495 yards a game. They've been so explosive.
First down run by Justice Hill. Hill over 1,100 yards as a true freshman, 1,400 yards last year. Looking for his 3rd straight 1,000-yard campaign. Would be one of the great running backs in school history.
That's saying a lot, too, huh?
It is. We'll bring Landon Wolf in here. Barry Sanders was back in Stillwater last week on homecoming.
Thurman Thomas.
Got to be playing with both. Hill, stutter step, and wrapped up at the 5, a flag down.
Personal foul, chop block, offense numbers 75 and 76, 15-yard penalty, first down.
It's like they're going to say that, you know, in football, if you're engaged with a guy up top, like if on the left side of your screen, if he's engaged, watch 75, the left guard. He goes low, and they're saying that 76 then went high. It seems like it was kind of one after another, but if you're engaged with a guy up high, then you cannot go low at the same time. That's a chop block. You kind of get that double team. Difficult to tell from that angle. Looked like it would happen at 2 separate times.
It's 9 penalties today for Oklahoma State. Cornelius hits away. Stoner on his feet, dragging inside the 10. He's been big this drive after being very quiet in the first half.
Yeah, this offense has had some success over the middle of the field as well. They've taken their shots outside, been unsuccessful for the most part, but utilizing the middle of the field with Dylan Stoner has been a good recipe on this drive.
Cornelius on the draw. Shy of the 5-yard line and the first down.
Yeah, we still haven't seen Derek Thomas come back out on the field yet. We've seen Jamison Houston over the top of Tylan Wallace. Now Tylan Wallace down in the slot at the bottom of your screen, number 2. And they'll bring Jamison Houston over to him and play man-to-man. Now, you have to like that matchup. Jamison Houston, 5'11", 196. And Wallace being the elite receiver he is this year. You got to like the matchup he has on number 11 over what he had earlier on Derek Thomas.
11th play of the drive. They can pick up a first down at the 4. Swinging out Tylan Wallace. Wallace, eyes towards the pylon. He bulldozes his way in for the touchdown. There's a flag on the play, near side of the field, away from where the touchdown was scored.
Offside. Defense. Number 13 was lined up in the neutral zone. Penalty is declined. Result of the play is touchdown.
Now, we typically see Wallace lined up on the right side of the field. This time they bring him in the slot, bring him in motion, and run him on the swing route. Trying to find different ways to get in the ball, because obviously with the ball in his hand, dynamic player. Puts his shoulder down, in for 6.
And Mendola puts it through. 17-14. Oklahoma State on top. Tylan Wallace, who was a monster last week in the upset win against Texas, now gives the Cowboys a lead in the 3rd quarter.
What's a Tyson meal kit? It's simple, honest ingredients. It's pre-chopped and pre-seasoned. It's just the right amount of help to make a wholesome meal. That's what it is.
I'm Ken Jacobus, and I switched to the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. I earn unlimited 2% cash back on everything I buy. And last year, I earned $36,000 in cash back, which I used to offer health insurance to my employees. What's in your wallet?
So we want to make sure you're covered properly.
Okay, State Farm, let's just say hypothetically that someone used Aaron's bathroom and that person lit a candle and the candle accidentally lit a towel on fire and the towel charred the wall. What would that...
Weren't you just in the bathroom?
I've never been in a bathroom. Not once.
How does that work?
Well, I meditate and I make it go away.
It smells like you burned something.
We should definitely investigate it.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
What if numbers tell only half the story? At T. Rowe Price, hundreds of our experts go beyond the numbers to examine investment opportunities firsthand. Like a biotech firm that engineers a patient's own cells to fight cancer. This is strategic investing. Because your investments deserve the full story. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
DiGiorno Crispy Pan Pizza bakes fresh in its own pan and travels straight to your table. Unlike delivery that goes from oven to box to bag to car to traffic to wrong houses. DiGiorno delivers a crispy caramelized crust straight from your oven. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Opportunity is everywhere. Like here, where nothing stands between you and your best friends.
Speak for yourself. Weekdays at 3 Eastern on FS1 and watch anywhere on the Fox Sports app. Mars' new season premieres Monday, November 12th at 9 on National Geographic.
FS1 College Football is sponsored by Ice Cold Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville. Emma, did you know Dr. Pepper created right here in Waco, Texas back in 1985, the home of the Dr. Pepper Museum. Remember, never put a period after the R in Doctor.
Both R's, right?
Especially the second R.
You never want to put one after the second R. That would be a huge mistake.
And hello to the good folks listening in Frisco, Texas, inside Dr. Pepper Ballpark, no doubt. Under 5 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter as the wind gets a hold of this one on the tee.
We got a ball game, Aaron. See how the Baylor offense responds.
Taking the lead back. It's been kind of some frustrating drives in this game. Long drives for Baylor that not resulted in points. That's been a theme so far for almost 3 quarters for Baylor. Get an extra hand here on the hold. Baylor to begin from their 25s. We say hello to Sam Farber back in Los Angeles for a game break.
Hello to you as well, Aaron. Over on Fox right now, number 10 Ohio State. They were trailing Nebraska 21-16 entering the second half. Get in the red zone, but Dwayne Haskins is picked off by Lamar Jackson. Preserves the 5-point lead for the Huskers. Buckeyes have now scored just 1 touchdown in their last 10 trips to the red zone. Back to you, Aaron and Evan.
Evan, you were saying today you like the Cornhuskers in that game, right? That's pretty impressive.
Easy, man. Don't underestimate Scott Frost. I know people are down on the fact they only got 1 win, but they got some players. They'll get better as the year goes on.
This looks like Gary Bohannon. And it is. Gary Bohannon on the field for the first time. The true freshman from Arkansas. Picks up 2 yards on his first play from scrimmage this season.
Yeah, that new redshirt rule of allowing these young guys to play up to 4 games and still get a redshirt. The later we get in the year around the country, you're going to see it quite a bit. Some young guys getting a chance to get in there. Key to remember, though, these teams are still trying to win games. They're not experimenting, so to speak. They think Gary Bohannon gives them a chance to move the ball. Big-time recruit out of Arkansas.
Clinton back in the game. Hasty, the running back. With time. Over the middle and knocked away. Good coverage there by Green. Trying to find Jalen Hurd.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the closing speed of these corners, both Rodarius Williams and A.J. Green. A.J. Green on that one. The shallow crossing route by Jalen Hurd running across the field against man-to-man coverage. Ideally trying to just get as much separation from A.J. as he can. A.J.'s closing speed is enough to get there and break up the play.
Green, who was so elite last week against Colin Johnson, the 6'6" receiver for the Longhorns, held him just 5 catches on 13 targets. Finds Hurd this time, who stretches for the first down. Trying to get there, and they'll come up just shy. Picks up 7.
Tried to stretch that out a little bit at the end. See the route running ability by Jalen Hurd. This is a former running back. Really impressive the way he's picked up the nuances of route running as he stretches that thing forward. Difficult to see where his left foot was when he went out of bounds and where that ball was at that moment from that angle. Had him a little bit short. He'll probably get a carry here for the first down as well, being their best short yardage back.
They're going for it here. Fourth and 1. Oklahoma State pointing.
Ball start. Offense, number 55. 5-yard penalty. It's 4th down.
Aaron, it was obvious they had lined up with the intention of going on first sound. It's jumped a little too early. Now Baylor will kick it away.
Xavier Newman. And think about how close that could have been right on the stretch by Hurd. It was so close to getting the first down. And then here, a chance to get the first down with just 1 yard, but the penalty.
Yeah, they elected not to take another look at this. Look, his left foot was never even out. The ball might have crossed the marker in play.
Bouncing its way, and it hits a Baylor player. Down right by the 45. And Matt Rule having a conversation. Matisic is the one who comes up with it. Justice Hill, they're trying to get him going. 62 yards on the ground, 10 carries. We'll see him with this Cowboys offense coming up. Evan, an impressive turnaround for Taylor Cornelius. He ended the first half 3 for 10, but orchestrating a really impressive 11-play, 80-yard drive last time out for the Cowboys.
Yeah, this offense has a tendency at times to get a little stagnant. They've been so explosive over the course of the year that the other times fallen off a little bit. So it's trying to develop that consistency drive after drive with Cornelius.
Wrapped up right away, but a first down. Wallace is pulled down, and watch out. And of course, Wallace was flagged for targeting in the first quarter. That was overturned, overruled.
All right, this is a good physical tackle by Kalen Barnes. To go for the body slam. I don't think Tylan Wallace thought too much of that. He also might have thought that he was able to keep his knee off the ground. Probably tried to sell the fact that he was still up.
Only a 22-yard punt by Baylor has given Oklahoma State tremendous field position. A little start and stop run by Hill.
Regarding the run game for Oklahoma State, I think one of the things that has played into Baylor's hands is they have good speed sideline to sideline. And that's where Oklahoma State wants to get in the run game. They want to stretch you horizontally and then get vertical. And Baylor's defensive front and their front seven has been done a really good job of playing sideline to sideline and not giving those running lanes.
On 2nd and 9 to the end zone, and I've seen this a lot today. Overthrowing, and this time Tyron Johnson.
Yeah, Tyron Johnson, not the first time we've mentioned this, had a step. You see Justice Hill pick up the pressure from Clay Johnston. And again, he's throwing with the wind now. So you wonder if that helps that ball sail a little bit. Cornelius typically will drop that in over his outside shoulder. That one sails on him a little bit. Another missed opportunity in the passing game.
Trying to convert on 3rd down for the 3rd time of this drive.
Gotta like the ability of Dylan Stoner in the slot up top in situations like this in the middle of the field.
Instead to Hill.
They're setting up 4-down territory. Trying to get as much as they can. I expect them to go for this.
Under 2 minutes, 3rd quarter.
Yeah, know when you're going for it on 4th. Get 4 or 5 here. Put yourself in a manageable 4th down situation.
Last week, 2 for 2 on 4th down, both times touchdowns.
And they were willing to chuck it down the field on 4th down. Those weren't just easy plays.
Timeout Baylor.
First time out of the half for Baylor, 30 seconds.
Of course, a huge win last week back in Stillwater. Taylor Cornelius completing 2 touchdown passes on 4th and 1. 116 yards to Jelani Woods and 36 yards to Tyler Wallace. You're not running for a couple of yards on 4th down in this case.
That's one approach when you got one of the best running backs in the country. Take a shot. Don't even look off the safety and take a shot over to Tylan Wallace on 4th and 1. He shows his rare ability to go up and make a play. So they've shown they're more than willing to take a shot on 4th and 1. You saw the first touchdown there was Jelani Woods, the Cowboy back, that really plays that tight end position, getting out of the play action corner route. And it looked like before that last timeout was called, they were going to bring Tylan Wallace on that same motion action and run that swing route with him.
Last 4 games, 6 for 7 on 4th down.
I got Tylan Wallace down in the slot again, out of position. This is a little bit of an indicator for the Baylor defense.
Wallace, the man of motion. Get it in his hands quickly. He throws it back to Cornelius. He tucks, he runs, he's got it. He wants more inside the 10.
A really well-designed play by the offensive coordinator, Mike Yursich. Runs the same action we saw on the touchdown on the last drive. Throws it out to Tylan Wallace, who's always going to grab your attention when he has the football. And he fires it right back over to Taylor Cornelius. It's well blocked. Plenty of room for the first down.
It's a gain of 24. Cornelius looked a little gimpy after that play came to an end.
But also, by bringing him in motion, they're also able to see it's man-to-man, so they can clear that side of the field out. Throw it back to Cornelius.
On the ground, J.D. King. Pick up of just 1.
You see J.D. King get a carry. A guy that complements Justice Hill and Chuba Hubbard. So much talent in this backfield. He's a guy that probably would start for a lot of other teams in the Big 12.
On 2nd and goal, to the air, to the end zone. Tylan Wallace, 2nd time he has found the end zone today. Helping to extend things further for Oklahoma State, 23-14. 2 touchdowns last week, a pair today as well.
Love the play call. You know, they've been taking some shots on fade routes on Derek Thomas. Derek Thomas is not in the game. I think it's Kalen Barnes here, but the slant route, like getting him over the middle of the field a little more in the second half and open up some options to get him the football.
2-possession lead, 24-14. Final seconds of the third quarter. Back to Sam Farber, LA for a game break.
Well, Aaron, I might have spoken too soon on that Ohio State score. J.K. Dobbins here, 3 yards to pay dirt, putting the Buckeyes back on top. Dobbins' second touchdown of the contest, 23-21. Number 10 Ohio State leading in the third quarter over on Fox.
Good game brewing there. Back and forth.
Yeah, Aaron, we see now at 24-14, right? Down 10. Baylor has been susceptible to avalanches at times, as we see Cornelius take a little hit here on that throwback. Ooh, takes a tough fall, and that head bounces off the turf. But Baylor has been susceptible to these avalanches of points in Big 12 play, and that's been something they put more emphasis on, is responding the right way. So I'm sure Matt Rule is very keyed in here to see how his team responds, now being down 10 after having that 4-point lead at halftime. It's a young team. Things can tend to unravel pretty quickly. See how they respond.
Whistle on the kick.
There was no kickoff. The ball began to fall off the tee before he kicked it. We'll re-kick.
Pretty good kick given the circumstances.
Kicking a moving target, that's not easy.
25 seconds to play third quarter. Third quarter then has been owned by Oklahoma State. Wallace twice finding pay dirt. Works out this time. Well, you can see the bad stretches this season for Baylor. This is something Matt Rule very well aware of.
Yeah, we talked about that a minute ago. Just the avalanches of points that other teams tend to put on them. You look at that last one, West Virginia last week. We're down 13-0, and Matt Rule said, look, before we could blink, we're down 41-0, like an 8-minute stretch. That seems to be a signature of his really young football team as he continues to build this program here in Waco. Got to respond, and what they need to do is develop some explosive plays. Haven't had many of them on offense. They've had longer drives that they've been able to sustain. Haven't paid off on all of them. We've got to find a way to get some explosive plays down the field.
And Charlie Brewer has taken over at quarterback. Normally the starter. Did not start today. Was concussed last week against West Virginia, but cleared. They'll start things off on the ground to John Lovett. Lovett to the 30. Lovett to the 10. All the way to the house for the score. 75 yards. Well, that quarterback change was a great idea.
It can manifest itself in a number of different ways, and we haven't seen John Lovett the last few weeks as much as we've seen JaMychal Hasty and even Charlie Brewer run the football. But you asked his coaching staff about his one-cut ability and his ability to make guys miss in the open field like he did right there when he gets into that second level with a full head of steam. No chance that defensive back for Oklahoma State is going to make that tackle, and he also shows the game-breaking speed in the open field for a 75-yard touchdown run. Yeah, it's well blocked from the beginning. If you watch right here on the right side of your screen, it's this move right here that allows it to take place. And he takes care of the rest. There's no way he's going to allow Justin Phillips, their middle linebacker, or Malcolm Rodriguez, their safety, to chase him down. Great speed in the open field. Look at that move. Well, that's tough. You got to play outside in. If you're Malcolm Rodriguez, you can't overrun that. Use the sideline as your friend. Force him to use the sideline, get all the way over there. At the very least, get him out of bounds. They can't overrun it and allow him to cut back inside.
Lovett just 20 yards over the last 3 games combined.
And now you see the Baylor sideline as well as the student section. There's some energy in here now.
Longest run allowed by this Oklahoma State defense since week 1.
That's the other side of a young team too. They can get emotional. You fire them up. Momentum is it's a real thing with these young teams. Once they get it on their side, they're, especially at home on homecoming, tend to hold on to it.
Returnable, Hubbard from the 5. Wrapped up at the 20. Christian Morgan, the safety on special teams.
Well, he's been a game changer today on teams. Had the punt block earlier. Set up a touchdown. Treston Ebner recovered. He shoots down here on kickoff coverage like a torpedo. On the outside, they're expecting him to probably overrun that and just runs in and makes a play. Nice aggressive tackle, too.
Cornelius, 21 for 36, 243 yards. On the ground to Hill. Hill has a first down. Shy of the 40. Hill picks up 18. That'll take us to the 4th quarter. What a game here in Waco on homecoming. It's been a little chippy at times. We've seen Wallace a couple of times in the end zone, 24-21. A look at things by quarter here today, 24-21.
That last drive, a big one for Baylor. Obviously, it had been down 14-0 in the 3rd quarter alone. We talked about how would they respond. Big drive.
Justice Hill, J.D. King in the backfield. The hand to Justice Hill. Upfield. Our stats through 3 quarters here today. Of course, 3 combined missed field goals. Total yards greatly favoring the Cowboys.
Yeah, key to note that Baylor turnover took place inside the 10-yard line. Should have resulted in at least 3 points for him.
Justice Hill a little dinged up. That's Chris Miller, the safety, who comes in and makes the tackle. Miller needing some attention as well.
And Chris Miller's been banged up at other times this year as well. He's been their normal starter at safety. Kind of plays that middle of the field safety position when they end up in a single high look. Missed the game last week against West Virginia. We're happy to have him back. A lot of Texas boys on this roster. Matt Rule has really appreciated the opportunity to get to recruit this state and all the talent.
Just 1 win last year for Rule. Of course, he and the Bears were absolutely blown out in Stillwater last season. A game where Oklahoma State set their program record, 747 yards of offense. And a 59-16 win against Baylor. A lot different here today, however. And to Hubbard. Hubbard has a first down. Matt Rule going so far as to say, referencing last year's game, that if Mike Gundy were evil, they could have hung 70 points on him. That's how lopsided that game was last season.
Yeah, I think Mike Gundy's been around long enough to know that stuff always comes full circle. So handling a blowout win like that in a classy fashion like he did, I think Matt Rule appreciated that.
First and 10 at the 49. Hubbard just a gain of a couple.
You see when these Oklahoma State running backs carry the ball at the mesh point, Cornelius holds it just long enough to get that backside defensive end to stand flat-footed and create a backside running lane for the running backs. Something to got to keep your eye on, because it's given the Oklahoma State running back group more yards over the course of the year, because Cornelius is just mobile enough to keep it on certain reads, open up running lanes.
Leading receiver Tyler Wallace all by himself, bottom of his screen. Back to Hubbard. A hurdle, and he pays the price. Clay Johnson's arm coming up by his helmet. Tried to tackle Kendrick Vaughns. Tried to hurdle him. This is enough for a first down. To the air this time. Some miscommunications there possibly with Wallace.
Yeah, it looked like Taylor Cornelius expected him to stop on his route. He ended up running kind of a slant route. That run pass option action at the mesh point. Threw it behind him a little bit. You'll see them get two running backs in the game. Their pony back set is what they call it, with J.D. King and Chuba Hubbard.
The hand is to King. It's a nice move to get a couple of more. It's a pickup of 4 yards. King last year nearly 500 yards.
Yeah, they give themselves a lot of options in the run game, especially with their cowboy back, when they bring in either Britton Abbott, Jelani Woods. Those guys can both play tight end and fullback positions. And what the tight end slash fullback gives you the option to do in these spread offenses is run those gap schemes and give you more flexibility in the run game. It's worked out well for Oklahoma State when they're at their best.
Justice Hill back on the field now. On 3rd and 6 to Hill, straight up field. Not nearly enough.
Yeah, well, once again, I think they know the wind is an issue. I don't think they want to punt it here. That's setting up a more manageable 4th down situation. Now you're at, we've about 4 to go.
I mean, 4th and 3, I believe.
4th and 3. Some people might not like the 3rd down call on 3rd and 6, but at the same time, again, it's to set up a shorter distance on 4th down.
Cornelius keeps, makes a man miss, and he's able to spin forward and fall for the first down. He gains 5.
Greg Roberts was in position. If you watch him on the left side of the screen, he just takes 1 step too far inside, gets outflanked by Taylor Cornelius, and unable to make the play.
Pressure. Cornelius swarmed and sacked. James Lynch there again.
James Lynch does an outstanding job with his technique. You watch him here. Ooh, right tackle. Tevin Jenkins ends up tripping over his own feet. Making that pass to the quarterback for James Lynch much easier than he anticipated. I don't think it was the contact from James Lynch. I think Tevin Jenkins just got tangled up.
Well, 3 sacks today for Baylor. That's been such a problem this year. But improvement today. 2nd and 18 for the 35. On the delay handoff. Hill able to keep his feet to the line of scrimmage originally and near the first down.
Nice job bouncing that outside. This is the threat that Justice Hill always presents. Is this some of these cutback lanes have to stay home and stay disciplined against the quickness that he has. One of the things we mentioned earlier too with Derek Thomas, that matchup in jump ball situations is tough for Tylan Wallace. Like to see them take chances to Tylan Wallace against these smaller corners.
We'll step aside. 24-21, Oklahoma State. Fox College Football is sponsored by Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, and watch sports. During the commercial break, cornerback Kalen Barnes, one of the fastest players in the nation, going to be 10-2, was able to walk off on his own power, which was good to see. Barnes, number 27 for Baylor. 12th play of this drive. Oklahoma State trying to respond after the Lovett 75-yard touchdown run.
I like the matchup down low with Tylan Wallace.
Looking that way, Wallace the catch. Coverage by Riley Tejada.
I kind of like what they're doing here. I think oftentimes you get kind of an option route. If he plays off coverage like this, you run about 10 yards and run the stop route. If he plays more press coverage, they probably give him the latitude to go ahead and run a go route. But these jump ball attempts that we saw earlier in the game against Derek Thomas, that matchup is better against guys like Raleigh Tejada and Jamison Houston. And that's who Tylan Wallace has seen since Derek Thomas exited the game earlier.
Makes 1st and 10 at the 12.
I'd throw it to him again.
Well, he's looking that way. Wallace had a layout for it, incomplete. Tejada the coverage again.
Yeah, this time ends up running the slant route. Breaks towards the middle of the field. And Raleigh Tejada does a nice job breaking on it. A little low and inside. But these are the, I think, jump ball situations against Raleigh Tejada favor Tylan Wallace and his ability to go up and get the football. This is the time to do it. Not against Derek Thomas. Leads the country in contested catches.
Ball's at the 11. They can get a first down at the 1. Cornelius keeps, tucks, takes a hit inside the 5. Well, that's the advised way to do it.
Well, nice job keeping the football. He had the right read there. He's a big guy, though. He's 6'6". When you get in the open field, you got to lower your pad level a little bit. Give a chance to protect yourself. You got to protect yourself in the open field. Nice job reading it and getting yards, though.
Fade. Wallace, flag, incomplete.
Defense, pass interference, defense, number 13. Ball, foul occurred in the end zone. Ball be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
Yeah, Raleigh Tejada is a little frustrated there. I think oftentimes the receiver will go up and engage a defensive back. A little hand fighting there. Again, not looking for the football. He's got his hands all over him. That's going to get called every time. Got to turn around and find the football, especially if you're making contact. Otherwise, that's an easy call for an official. And Raleigh Tejada's got his hands full over there with Tylan Wallace the rest of the game.
1st and goal at the 2. Hill surges ahead. Oklahoma State extends the lead. Hill over 100 yards today. And now a touchdown.
Nice job utilizing mismatches for the Oklahoma State offense. This time punching it in with their spectacular running back, Justice Hill, but putting themselves in position based off recognizing what really is a mismatch on the outside, letting Tylan Wallace, their elite receiver, go to work.
(31-21) just puts it through. Oklahoma State responds after the 75-yard touchdown run by Baylor. Hill from 2 yards out. FS1 College Football is brought to you by Today's Military. If your child's interested in military service, get the information you need at today'smilitary.com. Absolutely spectacular day here in Waco. Temperatures in the low 70s. Campus. Homecoming. This longest scoring drive by plays and time of possession this year for this Cowboys offense. Hill caps it on the 2-yard touchdown run. 15 plays, 79 yards, 6:17 off the clock.
Waco, the best barbecue you've had?
Ooh, now that
maybe
a conversation that should have been started in the first quarter, for one thing.
We can go all quarter about that, huh?
I'm here to make friends, not enemies.
I'll tell you what, that brisket was special.
Very good. Very good. Returnable inside the 5. Completes. Not going far. .8:48 to play.
Don't do it. You a brisket?
Should we be silent here?
You a brisket or a ribs guy?
Give the meat the respect that it deserves. I'm both, as you. I know you weren't paying attention to my order, but I got both the ribs and the brisket.
Nice. It's one of the highlights of coming down here, without question. Outstanding barbecue.
Now Brewer and a quarterback again, attempting his first pass of the day, and he overthrows his man. Looking that time for Chris Platt, the All-American 400-meter runner. Now, it was Brewer who was the quarterback for the last drive. It was a drive, but it was for one play. He handed the ball off. And John Lovett took care of everything else for 75 yards. Previous 4 drives, fewer than 20 yards. Or, pardon me, fewer than 20 plays, 64 yards.
Yeah, 21 points. Now, 7 of that is from that block punt. The other 7 is a 75-yard run by John Lovett. I think they're trying to generate a little more of a threat through the air with Brewer here on offense.
Complete. Flags come in. Ebner was the receiver. It was Ebner who recovered the block punt.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 4, 15-yard penalty added to the end of the play. Automatic first down.
A.J. Green's been penalized a number of times today.
Yeah, just gets a little careless here, reaches out and grabs the face mask. I think if you look at Charlie Brewer's stat line last week, 1 for 8, 3 interceptions early in that game. You watch that film, yeah, it wasn't perfect, but those interceptions were not all his fault. It was a collective failure to bring in the football and secure it. They still feel really good about what he's able to do in this offense.
Brewer time. Brewer launching downfield, too far. Looking once again at Chris Platt. Now Platt, 5 of his 11 career touchdowns have been for 70 yards. Has recovered from an ACL injury last year.
Yeah, he's got great speed. He's got a step on the defender, no question. And Jalen McClendon and Charlie Brewer have been a little off on these deeper throws today. And we talked earlier about how the wind can affect that. They're throwing with the wind now, going in this direction. And both throws in this direction for Baylor quarterbacks have been sailed a little bit over the player's head.
On the draw. Oh, my goodness, what a crunch. You could hear that. Not what you want to see when your quarterback was pulled for a concussion last week. Passed all the protocol, was cleared to play on Thursday, in fact.
Devin Harper comes up and lays the wood. We could hear it from up here. Your response said everything for
3rd and 12 now. Baylor has passed for just 113 yards. Ball to 38. Brewer having to scramble, tucks. Try to take care of it, run into the sticks, absorbs the hit, and is right there to get enough for the first down.
For the other threat that Charlie Brewer presents, his mobility as well, like we saw with Jalen McClendon earlier. You end up in man-to-man, and guys down the field have their backs to the quarterback and leave him a running lane. He'll take advantage of it every time. Nice run for a first down.
He leads the Bears in rushing attempts and rushing touchdowns. Ball midfield. They had to love it. Picks up 6 on the run. Met by Malcolm Rodriguez, the safety. Under 7 minutes to play. Love it, the leading rusher. Despite fewer than 10 carries, 6 now for 104 yards. Of course, the 75-yard touchdown run, the bulk of it.
I haven't seen Jalen Hurd in a while. You see him to the slot. Number 5 up towards the top of your screen. He's got good command in the middle of the field.
Now Brewer looking that direction. Now flush. Headed for the sideline. We'll see if we get a flag here. And we do. Calvin Bundage, second leading tackler.
Just not a necessary push at the end of the play. Also got to believe the reaction of the Baylor sideline can somehow be the catalyst
After
there for
the
the
play
call,
was
too.
over, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, defense number 1, 15-yard penalty added to the end of the play, automatic first down.
Adds on to a season-high total. Boy, to the head, too.
Yeah. It's not necessary. As you're putting a drive together for Baylor, I mean, critical error by the Oklahoma State defense.
11 penalties, 118 yards for Oklahoma State. 4 for just 37 yards. Meanwhile, for Baylor. Love it up the middle. Drag down. Another flag comes in.
Holding, offense number 77. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. It's first down.
I believe that's Patrick Lawrence's second holding call of the day. The first one was on that pass rush by Jordan Brailford. This time in the run game, grabbing on. Matt Rule's still a little frustrated.
First and 20 from the 36. Now Brewer trying to figure out the play call here. Now they get it off in time. Sets, fires, sideline, finds Hurd for the first down. Hurd on his feet into the end zone. What a catch and run. 36 yards for Jalen Hurd.
Well, what a play by Charlie Brewer. If you watch Jalen Hurd run the corner route, the corner up top falls off. It ends up being in position to make the play, overruns it a little bit. The ball sails over his head, and Jalen Hurd is able to concentrate, make the catch, and take it in for a touchdown.
Baylor just keeps coming back.
Boy, A.J. Green was in position to at least knock that ball down. The ball sailed a little more than he thought it would. And Jalen Hurd just keeps running, makes a great play.
Connor Martin puts it through. 31-28. Hurd on his feet. What a game here on homecoming weekend. Back after this. Having an impressive drive by Baylor. 8 plays, 86 yards.
Yeah, Charlie Brewer's mobility has been a big asset for him all year, especially when he can improvise and extend plays. And he's able to get by far the longest pass play for the Baylor offense on the day. 36-yard strike to Jalen Hurd. They really hadn't had anything that was stretching the field with Jalen McClendon earlier. I think that's why we saw Charlie Brewer, and it paid off big for him on that drive.
The previous long passing play of the day, 21 yards to Josh Fleeks. Back to Los Angeles with Sam Farber in the game break.
Guys, more Big 12 football on deck on Fox. Number 13, West Virginia will visit number 17, Texas. Mountaineers quarterback Will Greer broke his finger in this game last year, missed the last 2 weeks of his junior season. He wants revenge. Texas wants their 4th win over a ranked opponent this year. Gus Johnson, Joe Klatt, Jane Taft will have the call after Nebraska and Ohio State wrap up on Fox.
What a Thursday night it was for Greer and West Virginia against this Baylor defense last week. He was magnificent. 31-28, Oklahoma State trying to add on under 6 to play. Hill, a block from his quarterback, and Hill is able to get a first down out of it. Now they're going to mark him a yard shy. He gets 9 on the play.
The Baylor defensive line does a great job staying home. They have guys in position to make a play. Yes, they get a really good block from Taylor Cornelius, just enough to stop Chris Miller from making the play. But this is the threat that Justice Hill presents. So quick, sideline to sideline, and the play is never over with him. His ability to reverse field is nothing short of elite.
J.D. King now the running back. Wallace, the only receiver to the bottom of your screen. Cornelius keeps first down. You just try to hurdle? Is that what we saw from the 6'6" quarterback?
Was it Chuba earlier that tried that as well? Taking a page out of his book. Well, he had us all fooled. A couple reads there on that play, ended up keeping it. No, I don't think no hurdle there. You gotta know your limitations, right, Aaron?
Just a good athletic run. Terrell Bernard, linebacker for Baylor, shaken up. Redshirt freshman.
Well, so far the Baylor offense has responded to all these plays by Oklahoma State. Now it's up to the defense to bow up and try to get a stop here at a critical moment. Just over 4.5 left and a 3-point deficit.
I say, Evan, it is impressive, Taylor Cornelius, and not only his running ability, but his desire to do that for a man when you just look at the eye test, you would never, ever imagine a quarterback of his size would want to do that as much as he does.
Oh, there's a lot of courage there, without question. You're 6'6", running around on a football field. You're a big target. I think at times he could probably get a little better protecting himself, but you got to admire the courage and willingness to keep it and go get those yards.
1st and 10 on the 39. It's a crowded backfield. Betty King. How do you approach this right now if you're Oklahoma State with time on the clock and a 3-point lead?
Well, I'm just noticing too, Derek Thomas, the corner for Baylor, is back on the field, number 23, over the top of Tylan Wallace. That's been a better matchup for them today than Jamison Houston and Raleigh Tejada being over Tylan Wallace. I was going to say, go back to Tylan Wallace. That's your playmaker. But he's had issues getting separation from Thomas today, and Thomas, being the big guy that he is, has been able to win those jump ball battles and knock that ball down. Gonna have to take advantage. I mean, Dylan Stoner's been a weapon over the middle of the field. It's a possibility for them as well.
They keep it on the ground. Once again to King, who picks up 2.
And they're very much in 4-minute mode here. 4-minute offense is a term, obviously, that's designated, meaning it's a ball control possession offense. Stay in bounds, no incompletions. We want to keep that clock ticking. So if they can put together decent chunks of yardage on the ground, expect them to stay with that. There's no need right now to try to give the ball back to Baylor, obviously. So their goal is to eat up clock, force Baylor to use timeouts, put together a long drive.
Trying to convert on 3rd and 4. Cornelius to pass. He's got enough for the first down. He finds his favorite target today, Tyron Johnson. He's been a busy man. He picks up 11. Johnson's 8th catch today.
Yeah, it's been these 10-yard stop routes, these timing routes, where Cornelius hits his back foot and drives the ball down the field, that have really resulted in a lot of success for the Oklahoma State offense, both with Tyron Johnson and also at times Tylan Wallace. Expect him to go back and try to pound the football here again and keep this clock ticking.
And they do. King upfield. Good run on first down.
It's not all that often, too, in this offense. You see both Cowboy backs. So fullback, H-back position, both Cowboy backs are in the game right now with Britton Abbott and Sione Inefeuyaki.
And on that note, to break.
How about that?
I would just hang it up for the rest of the day. Nicely done. 31-28, Cowboys with the ball, under 2.5 to play. Now this game could be different. It would have been a 38-yard field goal attempt. This is in the 3rd quarter. Baylor tries the fake field goal. Special teams are feeling it after the block punt earlier. And of course, no good. Galitz, the punter, and Holder misfiring, trying to find Christoph Henley, the tight end. This is not the side of the field you want to be kicking to at the time. Gusting winds been a factor today. This has been all King on the ground. Baylor, 1 timeout remaining.
They just used it.
Baylor now out of timeouts. Stops the clock at 2:25. Mike Gundy in his 14th year trying to hold on with the lead here in Waco. Now the NFL on Fox tomorrow at 1 p.m. An NFL doubleheader starts with Matt Ryan of the Falcons taking on Adrian Peterson of the Redskins. Then it's America's Game of the Week. Todd Gurley and the undefeated Rams battle Drew Brees and the Saints, all on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Check your local listings.
Now, this is interesting because typically over the course of the second half, when Oklahoma State has gotten this field position in Baylor territory, they've always set it up for a 4th down attempt. On 3rd down, they've done it with a mindset knowing they're going to go for it on 4th. So you have to wonder here if they're probably thinking 2 straight carries to try to gain 4 yards for a 1st down and effectively end the football game if they're able to do that, given that Baylor has run out of timeouts. Or do they go for a 1st down here and then elect to punt it and try to pin Baylor inside their own 10 to go down and try to tie it? I would go for the 1st down. Been effective in doing that.
And King and now Hubbard as well in the backfield. It's Hubbard in motion out. Cornelius on the draw. 4th down coming, gain of just 1.
Here's where it gets interesting if you're Mike Gundy. Do you try to pin them inside the 10 and risk a touchback? Or do you go for it? And he's keeping his offense on the field. He's got 3 timeouts, though. Let this clock tick down. Still about 25 on the play clock.
It's 4th down.
Keeping in mind, too, if they're unsuccessful by going forward on 4th, you give Baylor the ball at their own 36-yard line or so. Not too far. A couple big plays puts them in field goal position. So decision to make here for Mike Gundy.
Well, they're going to think about it.
First time out of the half for Oklahoma State. 30-second timeout.
How about the road ahead for Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State, sponsored by Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. This is not an easy couple of weeks coming up.
You go to Norman for a red-hot Oklahoma team, and then West Virginia come and visits you. Those 2 teams at the top are the top 2 teams in the Big 12 at this point in time. And this schedule in those final 3 is really difficult for Oklahoma State. If they're able to secure their 6th win today, they'd find bowl eligibility, only to face those 2 top 15 teams over the next 2 weeks.
Worth noting, it would mark the 13th straight season of bowl eligibility for Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State.
He's done an outstanding job with this program, and they just lose high-level talent each and every year. And it just seems like he's able to restore that talent with high-level young guys each and every year.
Now what's the play call here? 4th and 3. Justice Hill is the running back. Stoner in motion. Cornelius rolls. Pressure on his feet. And he is brought down. What a stand by this Baylor defense.
Boy, a big risk there by Mike Gundy and his offense. I understand wanting to get Taylor Cornelius on the move outside. Doesn't have anybody open downfield. You just can't take a sack in that situation, though. Negative yards in that situation just puts Baylor that much closer to field position to get a tying field goal. At the very least, throw that ball away. At the very least. Unfortunate turn of events. That backfired a little bit for Mike Gundy and his offense.
It's a loss of 9. 4th sack today by this Baylor defense. Twice as many as they've had the last 2 weeks combined. 91 seconds left. Brewer, the quarterback. Brewer pressure. He steps up. Near a 1st down. He'll stop the clock. It's a gain of 9. 1:22 to play.
On the other side of it, you give this Baylor offense the ball with all this momentum. Coming off the last drive with Charlie Brewer, which went really well for them, and now a huge defensive stop. Momentum is clearly on their side.
Brewer keeps it. Surges ahead. He's got enough for the 1st. There were no timeouts left for Baylor.
Expect to see some shots to Jalen Hurd down here in the slot. in the middle of the trips formation at the bottom of your screen.
Finds Ebner out of the backfield at the 40.
It's a nice job by Ebner getting down as well, giving himself up, not wasting time, fighting for extra yards.
Now under a minute. On the ground, Ebner, big hole. A spin, and finally wrestled down. Pickup of 16 by Ebner.
Well, they got the Oklahoma defense on their heels right now. All the momentum in Baylor's favor.
Timeout call.
This is the second timeout of the half for Oklahoma State. 30-second timeout.
What a shift in momentum. One timeout left for the Cowboys.
And several times over the course of the year, we've seen the threat that Charlie Brewer presents when you play him in man-to-man coverage. Yes, he's an accurate passer. You want to tighten up on coverage. He likes to get the ball out of his hands quickly. But the risk you run by doing that is you take your eyes off him. And if you can't get there with 4, like Oklahoma State is typically able to do, you run the risk of him taking off and getting yards. And that's what started that drive after the big defensive stand. As Baylor approaches this field goal territory with Connor Martin, it's hard not to ignore the errors. Obviously wide right in their opening field goal. First one of the second drive of the game, missed points, and then going for their fake field goal and overthrowing Christoph Henley, the wide open target down the field. Yes, a field goal ties this thing up, but I can promise you, both in light of those events, the wind, the weather conditions, Matt Rule's going to go for the win.
Brewer looking in zone, over, fires, Hurd. Worth noting, going back to that for a moment, for the special teams, they did block a punt, which was returned for a touchdown. Big part of where they are on the scoreboard right now.
Connor Galvin and Justin Phillips were tangled up after that play, about 15 yards behind the play. Couldn't tell if the official was going to run over and throw a flag or not. Got Denzel Mims at the bottom of the screen, number 15, ISO'd up on A.J. Green.
He's been silent today, their second leading receiver.
Third and final timeout of the half for Oklahoma State. 30 seconds.
A comment on that. We haven't seen a whole lot of him today. At over 1,000 yards last year. One of only 3 Big 12 receivers returning this year with 1,000 yards a year ago. Number 15, Denzel Mims. Made some big plays for him this year.
Mims had a drop last week that led to an interception. Last year was silent for the most part against Oklahoma State in that lopsided win by the Cowboys in Stillwater against Baylor.
Yeah, they wanted to implement Tyquan Thornton and Josh Fleeks a little more today at the receiver position. I think Denzel Mims has seen his snap count reduce as a result of that. He'd like nothing more to make a big play to put him in scoring position here.
Connor Martin, they are in his range. In fact, they're about 10 yards inside of his range. Along this year of 50 yards. Second and 10 at the 23.
This Oklahoma State front and Jordan Brailford, they got to get home here. Can't allow Charlie Brewer to get out of the pocket. Got to set those edges on defense and keep him inside.
Looking in zone. And a flag comes in. Looking for Marcus Jones.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 20. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
The safety, Malcolm Rodriguez.
Yeah, they're trying to get Marcus Jones on the inside of that trips formation. That looked like more like illegal contact really than anything else, but I guess they said the ball was already in the air, so they're going to give him PI. And that ball has sailed quite a bit on Charlie Brewer on some of those throws to that side of the field, and I have to believe the wind is playing a factor there. His downfield throwing, it's been more accurate than that over the course of the year.
First and goal at the 8. Brewer rolls. Pressured and just heaves it away. Now remember, entering this game, 14 goal-to-go situations this year for Baylor. They had scored 14 touchdowns. Today, they couldn't have scored 2 touchdowns in either of their first 2.
Yeah, it's a situation that they're pretty comfortable in. Obviously, today it's been a little bit different, but this team has executed really well in goal-to-go situations like they are right now. And again, I still think your best weapon in tight spaces like this is Jalen Hurd. 6'4" frame, big physical, strong receiver that can make plays in traffic.
On second and goal. Brewer the draw. Spins. And is wrapped up and brought down. Under 20 seconds.
Gotta move. It's a danger of a running play at this point. No timeouts left, and gotta give yourself a chance to take a shot at the end zone.
Looking Mims' way. Mims! What a sensational catch for the go-ahead score! His first catch today has put Baylor on top with 7 seconds remaining.
I think his play time had been minimized today as a result of getting young guys on the field, but that is how you throw a goal line fade if you're Charlie Brewer. Put that thing on a line and let your playmaker go up and make a play. Outstanding catch by Denzel Mims.
7 seconds away from a signature win for Matt Rule and this rebuilding Baylor program.
You know, we've talked a lot about Tylan Wallace and his ability to go up and get the football, but Denzel Mims says, what you can do, I can do better. And what a play in traffic against A.J. Green. Strong hands ripping that ball out of the air, and I love the trajectory of the throw by Charlie Brewer. Put that thing on a line and let him go get it. All too often we see those things kind of drift up in the air and float out of bounds, especially with the wind today. That ball cuts right through the air, and he puts it where only Denzel Mims can go make what should be the game-winning play for the Baylor Bears.
Sailor Bear is smiling here on homecoming.
This is a talented receiving group, and he's been a little quiet as of late. But as we said a minute ago, this guy had 1,000 yards receiving, or over 1,000 yards receiving last year. And they know they can always go back to him, seasoned playmaker for this Baylor Bear football team.
And not only had he not had a catch, really hadn't even been targeted.
Sure. I hadn't even seen him on the field all that much, to be honest with you. You know, we mentioned Tyquan Thornton and Josh Fleeks getting in there more. Hadn't seen him a whole lot.
35-31. 7 seconds remaining.
And if Matt Rule and the Bears are able to hang on, this would be their 5th win. After being 1-11 a year ago, you're on the cusp of getting above 500 and being 5-4 and snatching your 5th win of the season. This place is alive, huh, Aaron?
It is. A day that started with offensive frustration for Baylor. First 2 drives set up goal to go. Both times resulting no points, but a chance to win today. Cornelius, the catch made. Stoner flips it back. The lateral game has begun to the offensive lineman, and that is the game on homecoming. Baylor with a signature win under second-year head coach Matt Rule. They win it 35-31 and take down Oklahoma State. This a game last year that Baylor lost 59-16, and they win it today.
What a game, and what an accomplishment for the Baylor Bears and Matt Rule. Getting to 5 wins, going over 500. We have the added benefit of seeing the coaches' press box up in here. These coaches are more than thrilled to see what this young team has done here today.
What a game, what a win for Baylor. Right now, let's get you out to Kansas State at TCU. Corey Provis, Ben Lieber with the call.